So good afternoon, everybody. Acha, one question. Arnav, Divan, your question. Uh, to some extent, can we say that quantity demanded is somewhat at an individual level or a community level, and demand is aggregate quantity demanded in an economy? No, completely wrong. Actually, demand, I told you that demand is shows the preference of an individual. Okay, so when we say demand, demand means ki what quantity, various quantities a person is willing to buy at different prices. Here QD and here price. So this much QD at this price, this much QD at this price, this much QD at this price. So demand actually shows preferences of a person ke at each price how much person want to buy. Okay, so demand may be individual demand of one person, and when we add up demand of all people, we get market demand of a particular product, market demand. And when we add up demand of all people and for all commodities in the entire economy, we get aggregate demand. So aggregate demand is actually demand of all commodities by all people in a country. That is aggregate demand. We will discuss in macroeconomics. And remember this thing, individual demand as well as market demand is a part of microeconomics, because market demand means we are adding demand of particular product. Okay, Satyabrata, your question. Why RBI sell dollars in foreign market in order to control rupee depreciation? It is not foreign market, it is foreign exchange market. And foreign exchange market by and large is within India, it should be clear. Who deal in that foreign exchange market? The authorized dealers of RBI, AD of RBI, authorized dealer of RBI. So if rupee is depreciating, so why RBI actually sells dollars? So this is actually demand of dollar, supply of dollar. Okay, so if RBI want, let us suppose exchange rate is 73. So if rupee depreciates, for example, how rupee will depreciate? Let us suppose demand may increase, imports may increase. So demand of dollar may increase, means import may increase, or foreigners start withdrawal of money, then rupee may depreciate. It may be 74, let us suppose. So rupee depreciated here. If RBI would like to check rupee depreciation, so what RBI will do? RBI is holding dollars. So RBI should buy dollars in this market or sell dollars in this market. Okay, this is a market where who are dealing? The authorized agents of RBI, authorized dealers of RBI. Okay, so RBI, what RBI will do? RBI is having dollars, so RBI should buy or sell dollars. So obviously, when RBI will buy, then demand will further increase, rupee will further depreciate. Okay, so when RBI will sell dollars, so supply of dollars will increase. And when supply of dollars will increase, then rate of dollar will come down. So when RBI will sell dollars, it will come back to this. So if rupee is depreciating, if RBI want to check rupee depreciation, RBI starts selling dollars. It is very common. Whenever rupee depreciates more, RBI starts selling dollars. But problem is that RBI has limited dollars. If RBI will sell all dollars, then forex may not be there. Okay, so this is a limitation कि RBI cannot sell unlimited dollars. So whatever dollars RBI has, RBI can sell those dollars only. Okay, so we were taking a paradox of poverty of farmers. So few questions I asked from you people, just कि paradox of poverty of farmers. What is meaning of paradox? Paradox of poverty of farmers. I told you that farmers are bound to lose if production will decrease, farmer will lose. If production will increase, farmers will lose. And if production is average, they are already actually poor. So farmers are bound to be poor. Okay. Then I ask few questions from you people. It should be clear that when production will increase, it is related with what? Bumper crop. Bumper crop. Bumper crop means if production of one farmer will increase, that farmer will not lose. It should be clear. So if production of only one farmer will increase, then that farmer will gain. And in this case, now next question is that why farmer lose when production is more? This is demand, this is supply. So this is price. If and what is revenue? Price into quantity. This area, this into this is actually revenue. if production will increase, in case of bumper crop, what will happen? Supply will increase much. Okay, because of bumper crop, supply will increase. When supply will increase, price will reduce much, and QD will not increase much. So you can see the new revenue is this price into this quantity, this area. So revenue of farmer will come down and farmer will lose. This happens. Now now one question from you people, that if opposite happens, if let us suppose crop fail, so farmer should gain theoretically or they should lose. Okay, so question is that if let us suppose there is bumper crop, supply is increasing. Now question is that if so Q1 we can say, if production will decrease overall, so farmer should gain or lose. So can you give answer in G or L? To gain or lose, if production of overall production will actually reduce, then farmer should gain. My question is that should gain or lose? So here all of you are wrong here. Why you are all of you are wrong, not lose. You know this very basic thing, demand is inelastic. I told you, when supply will reduce, farmer should gain. Okay, only Kritika is correct, only few people are correct. Abhiroop is correct and Hemant is correct. So otherwise all of you are wrong. Why? You know, if production overall will reduce, then what will happen? Supply will reduce, and when supply will reduce, price will shoot up. Got the point? If supply will reduce, so you know this demand curve is inelastic. Okay, so if supply will actually reduce, so like S2, so what will happen? Price will increase much more. So revenue of farmer will increase. Reason is that inelastic means whatever is reduction in quantity will reduce marginally and price will shoot up much. So revenue will increase and farmer should gain. So got the point? Inelastic, just see the definition of inelastic, which will change more when demand or supply will change. Price will increase much more, QD will reduce less. So overall revenue of farmer will be more and farmer should gain. So this answer is farmer should gain. Now the question is that I'm telling about should. Now next question from you people, the same question. Question 2 is that if production reduces, overall production reduces, just like the same. So farmers actually gain or lose. Now give me answer again, G or L. Actually they gain or lose when crop of farmer fail. When overall production reduces in an area, then farmers gain or lose. So now it is very easy. If actually they gain or lose. So Archana Yadav, you have given answer, correct answer, theoretically gain. And now now you are correct here. So they always lose. So farmers always lose when production fail, when crop fail because of any reason like drought, disease, any problem, you know, actually they lose. Now, but why there is a difference? They should gain as per our analysis. Can anybody tell me reason? They should gain as per our analysis, or theoretically they should gain, but practically they always lose. Why? Can you tell me reason? They should gain means this is actually theoretically, this is theoretical. As per our analysis, they should gain, but practically they always lose. Can anybody tell me reason why? Why there's a difference in theory and practice? As per our analysis, they should gain, but they never gain. You have never heard of this thing whenever crop failed and farmer might have gained, never gain. Why? Why actually it is opposite? Why our analysis is wrong here? Can anybody give me reason? Arpit, you have given answer, middlemen gain, but not farmers. Supply, Prashant, you have mentioned supply is not sufficient. No, supply is not sufficient, then people do not give such high price. Tarun Rayar, no, price shoot up. Uh, Actually, it is very difficult question. So your answers are not very, means somewhat close, but not exactly correct. So none of answer is exactly correct. The answer is very difficult question. Anyhow, so answer is timing. Here answer is timing. Price will shoot up. Do you think immediately price will shoot up after harvest? The question is that कि farmers sell at what time? Farmers sells after harvest. And after harvest, do you think price will immediately shoot up? Whenever you know price of onions increased recently, earlier also price of some vegetables increased, do you think the price increase immediately after harvest? Never. It should be clear. Price will never shoot up immediately after harvest. For example, a crop is grown and if the production is less, price will be somewhat high, slightly high initially. When there will be shortage after maybe 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, then price will shoot up. So by the time farmers have sold, so answer is that the timing, so farmers sell immediately after harvest, so at that time price can never shoot up very high. So farmer may get somewhat slightly higher price, but since production is lost, so less, so farmers lose. And when production is less, then after some time, after a few months, price will shoot up in market. And then by the time, who are holding the goods? The traders are holding the good. So traders gain. This is the reason. Got the point? So some of you were partially correct. Yes, Jaydev has given correct answer. It will take some time. Yes, price will not increase immediately after harvest because supply will be more, even if it is less. So overall, the only Jaydev has given the correct answer. So I think it should be clear what should happen and what actually happens. Now one more analysis from you people. Now one more question. In case of bumper crop, farmers lose. What happens to traders? In this case of bumper crop, farmers lose. Traders will gain or lose? And along with reason, can you tell me reason? Gain or lose and reason also. So traders gain or lose in this case of bumper crop. Actually, I'm talking about practically. So traders gain or lose? And along with reason. To Shivam Pathak, you have given correct answer, gain, yes. So why? Can anybody give me reason? Yes, answer is gain. In case of bumper crop, they always gain. Shivam, you said gain because of high competition, no? Yes, some of you are here correct or close to correct. So traders will gain. Why? Because traders will buy at throwaway prices. Because prices are so low in bumper crop that farmers actually sometimes leave in the field or they just throw the output because even transportation cost is not recovered, harvesting cost is not recovered. So traders get that commodity at throwaway prices in few paisa, 10 paisa, 15 paisa per kg even. Some crops are sold at this rate. But do you think price will be that low in retail market? It can never be so low because like tomato may be sold sometime in 50 paisa, 40 paisa per kg in mandi. But have you ever seen in market that tomato may be selling at 50 paisa per kg or 1 rupee per kg? So in retail market price is never low. So they buy actually from farmers at very low price and may store, and then price will be somewhat low but not low. If the price of tomato may be on an average maybe 20 rupees, so at the most it may come down to 10 or 5 rupees. It will never be, hardly you can find below 5. So got the point here. Price can never be too low here. So price can never be too low. So this is the reason why traders gain, because they will buy at very low price and will. Now some questions are there. Pratik, you have asked question, in case of overproduction, what can government do to save farmers from incurring loss during bumper crop? What government can do? I'm coming to this. Achha, now there is one problem. I'm coming to this problem only, Pratik. Why storing excess crop in FCI go down not enough? The problem is that FCI don't have enough space for its own crop. How it can allow farmer to keep, because FCI is holding much more grains. FCI has limited stocking capacity. This is the problem. And apart from that, farmers have other problems also. They have to, a lot of farmers are indebted, they need money, so they cannot wait for long. This is the problem. A lot of problems are there. Tarun Riyar, you have asked, if production increases, supply increases and price decreases, but farmer can sell their produce at normal price to increase their revenue. How farmer can set normal price? If production will increase, supply will increase, then price will shoot down. Price will be very low. This is the reason. And you know, farmers, supply is elastic or inelastic. So farmer supply is inelastic because farmers don't have much choice, and traders know. Now one more question now on this. Farmers actually, supply is inelastic. They don't have much choice to sell or not to sell. They have to sell immediately after harvest. So why they have to sell immediately after harvest? Because they don't have storage space. And even if there are some warehouses are there, government warehouses are there, they can keep, so they have to pay some rent. So farmers cannot afford to pay rent. And if they are indebted, their interest is going up, price may go up or may not in future. Additional cost of rent, transportation, etc. So not much farmers in India, they can afford to keep the commodity in stock. Now, if this is the situation of farmers. Now, one very important thing to understand here. Now just tell me this question, कि if farmers have this situation, everybody knows that, traders also knows that, कि farmers have to sell. If production is more, in a given area, maybe 1000 farmers are there. So maybe 5, 10 farmers, 20 farmers may save, but majority of farmers have to sell. So what will happen? Will it increase or decrease bargaining power of farmers? Because of this fact, कि farmers don't have actually storage space. Perishable goods cannot be stored. Okay, cold storages are much lesser in India. Farmers are indebted. They have to sell immediately after harvest. If traders know this thing, so do you think farmers' bargaining power will increase or decrease? Now give me answer in I for increase, D for decrease. The farmers' bargaining power, because of this fact in India, will increase or decrease? Okay, give me answer of this question. This is very important to understand. So farmers' bargaining power will increase or decrease because of this thing. Traders know that farmers have to sell. They cannot store, otherwise that will be wasted. Yes, so all of you are correct here. Farmers' bargaining power decrease. And when bargaining power decreases, they will pay just nominal price. That is why price shoot down. I think you must have understood now why price will shoot down. Now what will happen? Now one more next point is that if this will happen, okay, let us suppose, rather I'll make again, this is demand curve, this is supply curve. If let us suppose production increases this year, okay, if let us suppose production increases, so what will happen? Price will decrease much. If production will increase, let us suppose there is bumper crop, price will decrease and farmers will lose. Okay, loss to farmers. Try to write everything, whatever I write on board. When farmers will lose, what will happen? In next year, next season, they will grow more or less this crop. What do you think? So farmers actually will be apprehensive that there may be loss. So next year, what will happen? Next year, what will happen to production? They will produce more or less. What do you think? Can you give answer, more or less? Next year, if our price fell, farmers lose. So next year, what will happen to production? I for increase, D for decrease. I'll tell you one experience. The person who cultivate our field, to Mr. Nasir, he told me about 1.5 years back. He told me, last year, at 1.5 years back, he told me last year, the price of tomato was so low that I have to leave tomato in the field. And this year price is quite good and I have not grown tomato. Okay, so he was repenting means my luck is bad last year when I grew tomato, price was, he told me I have to leave tomato in field. I said, so you should have actually sold, you must have got some price. So he said, I asked the people who pluck tomato, you don't take labor, you can take 2/3 of the tomato, give me 1/3 only. Please plug it, harvest it and give me 1/3 only. They were not ready. He said they were not ready to take 2/3 of the tomato as their labor. They were demanding labor. So, and the labor cost, he said, was higher than the cost of production. Got the point? So he said ki I left the tomato in field, and why he was telling me ki because at that time price of tomato was very very high. So about 1.5 or maybe or approximately 2 years back, he told me this thing. So why? So answer you have given decrease. Yes, correct answer. So production will decrease. Achha, when production will decrease, then what will happen? Price will be more. So next time production will decrease next year. So then next year as to price will go up. So those farmers who have grown potato, this tomato or this crop, to some extent they may gain because price will be more. Okay, because not much farmers are growing. The farmers which are growing, they are getting better price. So some farmers may gain. So next year what will happen? They will produce more or less? They will produce more. So got the point here. So this is called a phenomena called cobweb phenomena. This was mentioned in economic survey also. So cobweb phenomena. So in this cobweb phenomena means कि production of any crop depends on price of previous year. Okay, so let us suppose price of year T will determine the production of T plus 1. Okay, if price may be high, then production next year will be high. So there is correlation between price of this year and production of next year. Got the point? So that is why what will happen? So production will remain stable or fluctuate, production and price. So what will be implication of this? So you can see here production increases this year, price reduces. When price reduces, farmer lose, next year production will decrease. So 1 year production increase, next year production will be less. And what will happen here again, when production is less, price will shoot up, farmers will lose, and next year they will produce more or less. Next year they will produce less, then production will come down. So there are fluctuations in production. And price will keep on also fluctuating. Price decrease here, price increase here. So there are fluctuations. So in that economic survey, they have shown cobweb phenomena in pulses. So they have mentioned that production of pulses is like this. Because production depends on previous year's prices. I think it should be clear. This is called cobweb phenomena. This is mentioned in economic survey also. I have shared notes. You may go through. They have given this price of this. This is actually price. Okay, price of the year T will determine the production of T minus 1. So because of this, price of the year T will determine production of T plus 1 next year. And production will affect price. Okay, so it will keep on fluctuating. So this is cobweb phenomena. So now the question is that, is it desirable? This fluctuation in production and fluctuation in prices, is it desirable? So certainly not desirable for everybody. Farmers sometimes gain, sometimes they lose. So it increases vulnerability of farmers. One thing. Second thing, consumers also suffer. When production will be less, price will shoot up. So consumer also suffer. Yes or no? So it is undesirable thing for farmers as well as for consumers. So this cobweb phenomena. Now the question is that what government can do. So Pratik Kar, you have asked, in case of overproduction, what can government do to save farmers? Can anybody give me suggestion to check this cobweb phenomena, this instability, what government can do? What government can do? The reason is that what government can do, government may fix a price, minimum price. Let us suppose minimum support price, MSP. So government will fix a MSP, minimum support price. So what is MSP? It is the price at which government guarantees to buy unlimited quantity. Whatever you want, you can sell. Now the question is that let us suppose price used to be 10 rupee and MSP is 7. It means that government is ready to buy any quantity you offer at rupees 7. Okay, minimum support price. So I'm just give you introduction, the reason why MSP is needed. So if government will announce MSP, now my question is that market price can be lower than MSP, yes or no? Means ideally, if government is ready to buy unlimited quantity at rupees 7, so price of this product can, theoretically I'm talking about, actually if government is able to buy at 7 rupee in every mandi, then actually price can be, or theoretically price can be below 7, yes or no? Please give me answer, yes or no. If government actually is ready to buy unlimited quantity at this price, So price can at least theoretically be below 7, yes or no? So answer is very simple, no. Why no? Reason is that if government is ready to buy 7, so why farmer will sell below 7? Let us suppose if government is ready to buy at 7 rupee unlimited quantity, then why farmer will sell below 7? But practically price may be below 7 because government has given guarantee on paper. But in mandi, the government agency may not be there to buy. This may be problem. So sometimes practically price may be below MSP. But can we say if price is below MSP, it is a failure of MSP policy? Yes or no? If a farmer is selling below MSP, is it a failure of MSP policy? So answer is obviously yes. It is a failure of MSP policy. It is a kind of that the government is not able to meet its commitment because government said we will buy unlimited quantity at this, and certainly farmer must be selling below this if government is not available in mandi to buy. So got the point here. So MSP will prevent prices from falling. Now next, one more question you have to think slightly in this. Ki MSP will prevent prices from going down because MSP is called floor price because price cannot be below MSP. Now my second question is that practically, I'm talking about practically, MSP of a crop will prevent prices from going up also, yes or no? So I repeat question, MSP is a floor price, it will directly prevent price from going down. Now question is that can it also prevent prices from going up, yes or no? MSP will actually, I'm talking about actually, will prevent prices from going up, yes or no? So most of you are correct, but answers are mixed. So answer should be yes. MSP will actually prevent prices from going up also. Now those of you who fail to understand, who gave answer no, now you just try to understand. If government has announced MSP, okay, we will buy at 7 rupee. So do you think farmers will be apprehensive of growing this crop? No, they will know exact at least 7 they will get, at least some reasonable price they will get. Okay, so the production will not reduce. When production will not reduce, so price will not shoot up. Got the point? Why MSP will prevent price from going up also? I'm saying also because the main objective is to prevent price from falling. Okay, but it will also prevent price from going up because MSP will give a assurance to farmers that they will not lose if they are growing this crop. So they will not be apprehensive of growing this crop. So production will not reduce. This will not happen. So price will not shoot up. That is why MSP actually will stabilize price. So it will prevent prices from going down as well as actually it also prevent from going up. In this year's economic survey, government mentioned it was mentioned to prevent prices from shooting up. What government did? Government increased MSP. Got the point? Government increase MSP to control inflation, food inflation. How? Because if MSP will be slightly high, MSP is usually below market price, slightly on lower side. So it may be increased to 7 to 8 or 9, then it will prevent price from going up. Why? Because production will be encouraged. When production will be more, price will never be high. So this is the reason. So MSP stabilizes prices. So this is the justification for MSP. In agriculture sector, I will discuss in much detail. Okay, so here I just give you the reason why MSP is needed. I told you why, because of inelastic demand and supply, why there is volatility and why there is ups and downs in production. Like in economic survey, they have given actual data on production of pulse. Ki production increases, decreases. And price also fluctuates in this manner. This is cobweb phenomena. And cobweb phenomena shows that there is very much inherent instability is there in this agriculture sector. So government should intervene. So government MSP will help in stabilizing prices. Now the question is that do you think government announces MSP for all crops or is it feasible for perishable crops? So obviously it is not feasible for perishable crops because where government is giving unlimited guarantee to buy unlimited quantity, where government will store, government will lose heavily. So practically MSP cannot be announced for perishable crops, practical limitation. So government announces MSP for those crops which could be stored and especially which are important for food security. I will discuss later, like wheat, rice, pulses, various types of pulses, various oil seeds, cereals, and cotton, jute, etc. Okay, so we will discuss in detail later. MSP. So just I give you brief reason. I just here gave you the idea about the application of this demand and supply. So this is based on demand and supply means market, and this is a kind of limitation of market की instability. So government intervention can stabilize market. So this is the role of how government intervention can help in reducing volatility. So the justification for MSP I have discussed. In agriculture in much detail I will discuss. This is only basic application of this. Acha, Shivam, your question, is current scenario of farm bills facing by farmers are paradox of poverty of farmers? No, no. These bills are, they are entirely different thing. There are a lot of issues actually. You have to know the base of what is MSP first. MSP will take almost 1.5 hours. This MSP price policy. This is very long topic. Some issues, some recommendations of committee. What are flaws? So what? This is very long topic. Even MSP will take 1.5 hours. Then APMC mandis and lot of things. Then we will come to those bills. Okay, what are issues? The main issue is that okay, government is giving freedom to farmers to sell anywhere. But issue is that if they will get more freedom, then markets are not perfect. So farmers may be exploited. This is the issue. Because in APMC mandi, everything is standard. State government controls that bidding, etc. So if they will be selling anywhere, so problem is that they may be exploited by big corporates. Initially, corporates may give them better price, and then they may, if when mandi may become weak, then they will actually may exploit farmers. This is one apprehension. This is very long topic, as I told you, so we cannot say yes or no in simple words. So overall, intention of these bills is very good. These are much needed reform and should be implemented. But issue is that the way of implementation. The issue is that proper safeguards may not be considered as per critics. Safeguards are not there. Farmers may become more vulnerable because of this. So the manner is not correct, like without consultation and without proper safeguards, these things may increase the vulnerability of farmers. Although as such concept is very important, this should be done. Okay, but vulnerability may increase because of this. Okay, so these are some applications actually of this elasticity of demand. So Prachi Tiwari, you have asked how in cobweb phenomena increase in second year price leads to decrease in production. In second year, increase in price, when price will increase, so production will increase, because when farmers will benefit, so they will gain, they will increase production. Okay, so how increase second year price leads to decrease in production? No, no, increase in price of second year will increase production of third year. So you have mentioned increase in second year price leads to decrease in production. No, no, you are wrong. Increase in price, when price will increase, then in third year production will increase. So last year decrease, next year increase. So alternate. Before that production increase, then price reduced. So it is alternate. So I have written here price of 1 year T will affect the production of T plus 1 next year. Okay, so we have discussed elasticity, price elasticity of demand. One more concept I will discuss here of elasticity, that is income elasticity of demand. This year's economic survey actually focuses on markets. So I have given some illustration from that economic survey, like cobweb phenomena was also mentioned, and how government intervention is useful or may create problems. So this I'm correlating this here theory with the practice. Okay, so now next one more concept, that is elasticity of demand. Earlier we discussed price elasticity of demand. So price elasticity of demand means responsiveness of quantity demanded to change in price. What it should be? So simply responsiveness of quantity demanded to change in what? To change in income. To just mention, it is the responsiveness of quantity demanded of a commodity. Responsiveness of quantity demanded of a commodity to the change in income of the consumer. To the change in income of the consumer. To the change in income of the consumer. Okay, so what should be formula? But here we will not write E, we will write EY, because E means price elasticity of demand. So I told you when price elasticity of demand, we may call it only elasticity of demand. So here it is EY, Y means income elasticity of demand. So it will be what? Formula will be percentage change in QD divide by percentage change in what? So in the previous formula we have written percentage change in QD divided by percentage change in price. Here what we should write? So obviously percentage change in income of the consumer. Clear? So percentage in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in income. It shows that when income of consumer will increase, how much demand for consumer will increase. Okay, now very simple. Now you have to give me answers. Let us suppose first option. If EY is greater than 1, can you tell me name? Give me name of this. Suggest name for this. If EY is greater than 1, so what should be name of this? So greater than 1 means this should be more than this. Upper one should be more than this. It means that if your income will increase by 10%, you will increase demand by more than 10%. So what should be name of this? What should be name of this? Can you suggest name of this? EY greater than 1. So what should be name? So when earlier E greater than 1, we said elastic demand. Yes. Sneha, you have given correct answer. Income elastic demand. Most of you have given elastic only. No, when we say elastic demand, we mean price elastic. So we have to mention income elastic. So you should write down income elastic demand. Income elastic demand. I think clear? Now give me option. This happens in case of which commodity? EY greater than 1. In case of necessities or luxuries. N for necessity, L for luxury. Just write down quickly. N for necessity, L for luxuries. Give me example. This happens in case of necessities or luxuries. N for necessities, L for luxuries. So it is called income elastic demand. So this happens for necessities or luxuries. Okay, and then EY less than 1. Give me name of this. Give me name of this. Yes, all of you are correct here, luxuries. So write down example and give me name of this. Write down on your own. If you cannot, just see this. So it is actually income inelastic demand. Very simple. Here it is income elastic, here it is income inelastic demand. Clear? An example, this will happen in case of necessity or luxuries. So obviously this happens in case of necessities, because when your income will increase, you will not spend much on necessities. Okay, so income elastic demand happens in case of necessities. Yes, now most of you are correct here. Necessities. This is income inelastic demand. Clear? Now other possibility is third possibility, greater than 1, less than 1, EY may be equal to 1. Now third is EY equal to 1. What should be name of this? Write down on your own. Write down the name of this on your own. If you cannot write, then see this. Unitary income elastic demand. Okay, unitary income elastic. Okay, and example is not very important. There is no practically we cannot say if income will increase by 10%, it will increase by exactly 10%. So practically not important, as I told you already. Now fourth, give me name of this. EY is tending to infinity. Infinity means very, very large. Give me name of this. EY tending to infinity. This is actually infinity. Means very, very large. If EY is very, very large. So practically it's not possible that when your income will increase, you will increase demand substantially. Give me name of this. So perfectly income elastic. Yes, correct. Yogendra and Kartika, Yes, Shivam, most of you are correct. Yes. Good to perfectly income elastic demand. Clear? Now, fifth is EY equal to 0. What should be name? So I think all of you can write now, write on your own. Write down the name on your own. Don't see here. Write down your own. Okay, write it, then you can check this whether you were correct. Perfectly income inelastic demand. Perfectly income inelastic demand. Just perfectly income elastic demand, perfectly income inelastic demand. Any example? Ki when your income will increase, demand will not change at all. Example maybe? Maybe? What example? Can you give me example? Salt. If your income will increase, will you buy more salt? No. What the point? So example maybe is salt. Although perfection is not possible, close to this. Okay, now next, one more important analysis is that if I, here 5 things we have discussed, 5 possibilities we have discussed, but here actually I will add one more possibility here. EY equal to 0. So here EY may be less than 0. Okay, so is it possible less than 0? Can any number be less than 0? Yes or no? And if yes, how it could be less than 0? So can I say this is more than 0 in all of these? In all of these, can we say these numbers are in this EY is more than 0? Because here actually more than 1 should be more than 0, and less than 1 here I'm assuming it is more than 0. Less than 1, but I'm assuming more than 0 here. Equal to 1 is certainly more than 0, it is also 0. So here 3 possibilities are there: more than 0, equal to 0, and less than 0. So some of you have given answer yes, but how could be less than 0? Any number could be less than 0 actually. In maybe third, fourth class, second class maybe, you might have read the number line. 0, 1, 2, 3 number increases, and left side -1, -2 is less than 0. So which is more bigger number, -1 or 0? So 0 is bigger than -1, I think you must have read. So actually less than 0 means negative. Negative. Got the point? Less than 0 means negative, and negative means what? Negative means opposite relation in the variables. It means that when income will increase, then demand or QD will decrease. Negative relation means what? Achha, what is this greater than 0? Greater than 0 means positive relation. And positive relation means what? When income will increase, so QD will increase. Got the point? In all of these cases, with increase in income, demand is increasing. Here demand is increasing more than proportionately, like in luxuries. Here demand is increasing but less than proportionately. Demand is increasing. When this is increasing, QD is increasing. Here it is increasing the same proportion, here infinitely. So in all of these, when income will increase, people will buy more. Okay, and here when income will increase or decrease, no change. And here when income will increase, people will buy less. So I think it should be clear. So greater than 0, equal to 0, less than 0. Now, is it possible practically? Can you give me possible? Is it possible? And can you give me any example? Practically, does it happens when income increases, people buy less? Can anybody give me example? And can anybody give me name of this such goods? Can you give me name of such goods where income increases, people buy less? What is name technically? What is name in economics of these goods? And any example of such good where it may happen or it can never happen? Please respond to this question. So these goods are called inferior goods. Yes. Pavan, you have given answer. Inferior goods, yes, correct. Tushar, yes, bad quality products. Yes, Tushar, correct. Okay, okay, some of you knew this. Yes, good. Some of you knew this. These goods are called inferior goods. So in case of inferior goods, this happens. So just write down what are inferior goods in one line. So inferior good just mentioned, these are the goods. The same definition is this only. I'm dictating this only. These are the goods whose demand decreases with increase in income. These are the goods whose demand decreases with increase in income of the consumers, and vice versa. Okay, so inferior goods are the goods whose demand decreases with increase in income of the consumer and vice versa. Same, this is the definition only. I have nothing put nothing new. Simply this thing I have put in words. So what are inferior goods? I think very simple. Inferior good like कि goods actually whose demand decreases with increase in income of the consumer, and vice versa means कि when income will decrease, person will buy more. These are inferior goods. Now any example of these goods? So Yogendra, you have mentioned, you can Chobe, you have mentioned luxury items of consumption may reduce if they need. No, completely wrong. Luxury item, when your income will increase, you will buy less luxury. No, you will buy more luxuries. No, wrong. Any example? Acha, so Vikas, you have asked ki EY infinity. Any example? No example. You are asking example of this. No example. Can you increase demand infinitely? There is nothing infinite in the world. Got the point? No example. EY equal to 1. It may be 1. Maybe 1 for you today, for one good may not be this. For example, if your income will increase, you may spend on clothes maybe by 10% exactly. So it will vary. So practically it is not useful. For example, if your income increased by 10%, you spend on a particular item, maybe on clothes or anything, by 10% exactly. So this is 1, but it may not remain same always. So it is practically not useful. It can never happen practically. So Ashish, you have mentioned 1 rupee toffee or munch, but I don't think my children like munch much. They are demanding much. So no, actually example maybe frozen foods. So if your income will increase, you will not buy frozen food. I think rich people buy more frozen food. When income increases, people buy more. No, wrong. Okay, so cheap products. Okay, for example maybe coarse grain. You know, if a poor person is consuming coarse grain, because earlier wheat and rice was expensive 30 years back in India, 30-40 years back. So coarse grains, poor people used to consume coarse grains because they could not afford to buy wheat or rice. So when income of those people will increase, do you think they will buy more coarse grain or less coarse grain? So obviously they will not buy coarse grain, then they will switch over to wheat and rice. Other example could be dalda ghee. Like dalda ghee means a poor person is buying dalda ghee because person cannot afford to buy desi ghee. When income of that person will increase, that person will buy more or less dalda ghee. Will not buy dalda ghee, will buy less, will switch over to desi ghee. So example maybe dalda ghee or maybe this coarse grains. Now if I want to conclude like coarse grain or dalda ghee, could it be are these inferior goods for everybody? Yes or no? So answer is obviously yes or no. So dalda ghee, coarse grain, or 1 rupee toffee or munch, is it inferior good for everybody? So answer is obviously no. The example is that there is no, there cannot be any general example of inferior goods. So that is why I am not writing any example here. Okay, I am not writing any example. I told you, coarse grains may be inferior good for one person, not for all. For example, if a rich person likes jowar, person is like jowar, and when income of that person will further increase, won't he buy jowar? So he will not reduce consumption of jowar. But a poor person who is buying jowar in compulsion of low income may not consume jowar when his income will increase. So it will vary. Same good may be normal good for one person, same good may be inferior for other. Got the point? So it varies from person to person. 1 rupee toffee or munch may be an inferior good for a upper middle class person or upper middle class, but lower class it may not be inferior good. For lower class, people, it may not be inferior good. So it will vary. For you, maybe motorcycle may be inferior because you want car, or for that person who has cycle, so motorcycle may not be inferior for that person. So there is no general example. We cannot have any general example of inferior goods. So I think it is clear. So these goods are called inferior goods. Definition I already give you. When income increases, demand decreases. These are inferior goods. Now, on the basis of common sense, can you suggest name for these goods when this happens? Because normally what happens when income increases, QD demand also increases. Usually this happens. So what should be the name of these goods? Can you suggest on the basis of common sense name of these goods? These are inferior goods. What should be name of these goods? Just think and suggest name on your own. Suggest name of these goods. So actually these are called normal goods because normally this happens. Yes, Kartika, Prachi, lot of you have given correct answer, but some people have given superior goods. No, superior, they need not be also or may not be superior. Like some may be food necessities. So these are called normal goods. Why called normal goods? Because normally people buy more when income increases, and these are inferior. When income increases, people buy less. So these goods are called normal goods. Okay, so lot of you have given correct answer. Okay, now next thing is that I think it is clear here means positive relation. When income increases, people buy more. Normally this happens, so normal good, and these goods are called inferior goods. Now inferior goods are very much confused with another good. Which is that good? I think some of you may have that name in mind when I ask inferior good. That is Giffen good. Now write down Giffen goods. Giffen goods. These are named after Sir Robert Giffen. Sir Robert Giffen. So first write down the definition. To mention that Sir Robert Giffen. To mention that these are inferior goods. So Giffen goods, write down. These are inferior goods whose demand increases with increase in their prices. Whose demand increases with increase in their prices and vice versa. So I repeat definition. These are inferior goods whose demand increases with increase in their prices and vice versa. You mean when their price increase, people buy more. When price reduce, people buy less. So these are called Giffen goods. Okay, so actually there's a much confusion between Giffen goods and inferior goods. Most of the students who have economics optional, they are much confused. Students who do MA, BA in economics, they are much confused. Even some of you may have in your mind when I ask this, what is name of this good? Usually students give me answer, half students say this, half say this, almost. Although in this class I think nobody gave me this answer, but it is very common answer. When I ask what is name of this good, lot of people say inferior good because they are very much close. Okay, so first of all, Giffen good. So Giffen good, when price increases, people buy more. And these actually, this is very rare thing. Sir Robert Giffen identified this phenomena in UK during Second World War. He find out how these goods were identified. During Second World War in UK, the price of inferior quality of bread was increasing. And people were buying more and more quantity. Its demand was also increasing. So Sir Robert Giffen saw that, why? If price is increasing, so why people are buying more? People, as per law of demand, people should buy less quantity. If actually price something we have discussed already, as per law of demand, when normally this happens, when anything become expensive, people buy less. So here when it was becoming expensive, price was increasing, people were buying more. So he was astonished why this happened. So he find out what is reason. When he find out the reason why people are buying more, he find out that bread was an inferior quality of bread, very cheap bread, and that was bought by poor people, and that bread was major item of consumption. Let's suppose poor maybe spending almost major part they spend on food. So poor people, they were spending major part on that bread. So when price of that bread will increase, So what will happen? Poor will become better off or worse off? Okay, just this answer this question on your own. Don't write here. Okay, if price, if a let's suppose poor person is buying some inferior good, cheap good, and maybe half income on this good and half income maybe on other necessities like other food and some other minor essential things. So if price of that bread will increase, the main item of consumption, then poor will be better off or worse off? So certainly more worse off. Now since that poor person has become much worse off, so person will spend more on normal good or inferior good? So obviously since person has become much worse off, so person will buy more inferior good. That is why person will buy more of this, because these are inferior goods. Why? The reason is that the poor person has to meet minimum consumption, because the price of this bread may increase, but certainly it must be much cheaper than other normal goods. So person will, to maintain minimum consumption, will buy more of this bread rather than other better quality of bread or fruits, vegetables and other food items. So person will buy more of this to maintain minimum consumption, so that person should not be hungry. So these are bought by very poor people. These are inferior goods, and only then this can happen. So it should be clear, these are bought by poor people only, because these are inferior goods. Okay, so Sir Robert Giffen observed this phenomena. This may be called Giffen paradox also. So this may be called Giffen paradox, because it's a paradoxical situation. So Sir Robert Giffen find this paradox, so that is why called Giffen paradox. Once more I tell you why this happened. When poor people are buying this, so what will happen? When the price of these bread will increase, poor will become more worse off, and when they have become more worse off, they have to buy more of inferior goods rather than the normal goods. This is the reason why it increases. Now next thing is that now some question from you people. If I will make a curve here, I will write quantity demanded and I will write price here. So give me answer. Shape of the curve will be upward, downward? Please give me answer quickly. Its slope will be upward or downward? P here, QD here. So very easy question. Write down U for upward and D for downward. U or D? Upward, downward. U or D? Just you have to write U or D. Second question is that is it law of, will it be a demand curve? So answer here is upward, because relation is positive. So I think most of you must be correct here. So all of you are correct here. Let me see, anybody is wrong here? Nobody is wrong. Yes, good. Everybody has given correct answer. Now second question, is it a demand curve? Yes or no? Y or N? Just write down Y or N. Yes or no? Is it a demand curve? Shall I write D here? If I write D here, yes or no? Should I write D? It is a demand curve? Give me answer in yes or no. So is it a demand curve? So answer is, what is demand curve first of all? Demand curve shows relation between price and QD. Does it show price between demand and QD? Yes, again answer is slightly, it was difficult, so mixed answer. But majority of you are correct. So answer should be yes, it is a demand curve. Why it is demand curve? Because demand curve shows relation between price and QD. At each price, how much you buy. Got the point? I told you already. Demand shows the relation at each price, how much you want to buy. Does not this showing this thing? Okay, at this price, this much, this price, this much. So certainly it is a demand curve. So answer is yes. Majority of you were correct. Okay, those people who were wrong, try to think why you were wrong. Now next question. Does it obey law of demand? Yes or no? Law of demand. Does it obey law of demand? Yes or no? So answer obviously is no. So it violates law of demand. So just you can mention these goods violate law of demand. Violate law of demand, or these goods are exception to law of demand. Okay, so certainly no. I think very easy. All of you can give the answer. So this is actually violate law of demand. Clear? Now what is difference between inferior goods and given good? Now, because I told you this is a very common, very common confusion. So majority of students who have done MA in economics, they are confused in these goods. But the very simple thing you should know, just two things you should know. Okay, what is the difference between inferior good and this? Now, you know, this is usual, unusual. Obviously, unusual thing. Okay, because normally price when increases, QD decreases, this is unusual. Now, inferior good is usual, unusual. When I ask this question, some of the people say usual. Why? Because it is unusual, it should be usual. What is logic of this? This is also unusual. The both are unusual. Make it clear. Because usually this happens. Normally when income increases, people buy more. So both are unusual. But here, unusual relation is between what? Between income and demand, and here between price and demand. Okay, so what you should remember, in case of given goods, unusual relation is between price and demand. And in inferior good, the unusual relation is between income and demand. Got the point? This is the main point. I think in exam they will not ask beyond this. So in case of inferior good, the unusual relation is between income and demand. Okay, and in case of given good, unusual relation is between price and demand. Got the point here? So both are unusual, but unusual relation is between P and QD, and here Y and QD. This is one point you should remember. That is enough for exam. But although one more point you should remember, which I have already told you. Let us suppose if this circle shows inferior good, this is inferior good. This circle, so where should be given good? What do you think? Inside this, or outside this, or overlapping this? So three options: inside, or overlapping, or outside. So I have dictated given goods are inferior goods. So it should be clear, given good must be inferior. If a good is not inferior, it can never be given. So given good must be inside this. Because all given goods must be inferior. It should be clear. Some people give example like gold or diamond. So gold and diamond is not an inferior good. So it should be clear. Cannot be example of given good. To make this diagram clearly, this circle shows inferior good and this G should be inside this. But these given goods are very rare. Okay, so again most of you have given correct answer inside this. So I repeat once more, two things you should remember for given goods or inferior good. One thing is that here unusual relationship is between price and demand, and here between income and demand. One point, the most important point for examination point of view. Second thing is that all given goods must be inferior. This thing, inferior and given. So it should be clear, if a good is not a given inferior good, it can never be given. It should be clear. A normal good, luxury good can never be given good, because luxury goods are not inferior good. So I think it should be clear. Only these 2 points. Now, if you have understood this, now one more question from you people. Next question is that, have you understood the difference? Now next question is that given good violate law of demand. I told you already, given goods. Now what about these inferior goods? They violate law of demand or do not violate? Yes, no, or can't say. So give me answer. They violate law of demand. Yes, no, or can be. So why? Yes, they violate law of demand. Question is, they violate law of demand. Inferior good. So yes, no, or can be, or maybe. So what do you think? Yes, no, or can be, can violate? Give me answer. So answer is very simple. In logical questions, never presume anything. Are they saying anything about price and QD? Have we talked about price and QD? No. So anything could be there. So answer should be can be, maybe. So as such, it should be clear. Given we cannot say inferior good violate law of demand. May violate, may not violate. We are not saying anything about price. Most of you are correct, but still Jaidev, you have said no. A lot of you have given, Radhika has given answer no. On what basis you have said no? Had I said anything about price, so how you can say no? How you are presuming? So don't presume anything. We are not saying anything about price. In this, when I discuss this inferior good, I have not said anything about the relation between price and QD. So we cannot say no. These given inferior goods violate law of demand. Probably these may not violate. They may be obeying law of demand. Okay, Tarun Riyad, you have asked, can you dictate given paradox? I have already dictated. Given goods and given paradox is same. I have dictated. If you want, you can write again. Given paradox refers to means situation in which, or in the same thing, in which when price increases, QD increases. This is given paradox. This happens in case of inferior goods. When their price increases, demand increases. So given paradox, given good is same thing. Got the point? Achha, but remember one thing, practically it is very difficult. You will not find given good. So students usually are confused which good is given good. So practically you hardly find any such good. Practically very, very difficult. Why? These are very rare. The reason is that these goods must be inferior. First of all, remember one thing, normal goods are not inferior, luxury goods are not inferior, it should be clear, so can never be given. So first of all, these goods must be inferior good and must be bought by a poor person. It must be related with necessity. Got the point? Because person will buy in compulsion more. Okay, and the most important other thing is that requirement it should not have a close substitute. For example, a person is buying bajra. Okay, if price of bajra may increase, so person will not buy much bajra. Why? Because jowar, ragi, etc. are there. The person will switch over to other substitutes. So that is why substitute should not be there. Only then person will buy this. But that is very rare. Ki substitute may not be there. So practically it is very rare. So what is important, whatever I have dictated is much more than sufficient. Don't go beyond that. Okay, because slightly they are difficult to understand. So, but whatever important points are there, I have already dictated and told you how they were discovered and what is this. Now, one more good finally. One more good, that is Veblen goods. These are named after Thornstein Veblen or T. Veblen. Thornstein Veblen. To write down what is T. Veblen, these Veblen goods, to mention this. These goods are associated with social prestige. These goods are associated with social prestige. Example, expensive rare articles, comma diamonds, comma customized aeroplanes, etc. To customize aeroplanes, etc. Aeroplanes, or maybe customized cars, aeroplanes / cars, etc. And also mention their demand increases, just like this. Their demand increases with increase in their prices. Their demand increases with increase in their prices. Their demand increases with increase in their prices, and vice versa. Their demand increases with increase in their prices. So here, just like this, P increases, QD also increases. Okay, so if I will make a curve here, QD here, price here. So what should be shape of the curve? Upward, downward? Obviously, when relation is positive, curve will be upward. Now again the same question, is it a demand curve? So answer obviously is, because it's showing relation between P and QD, so it is a demand curve. Now again, next question from you people, does they obey law of demand? Yes or no? So obviously answer is no, because demand curve is upward sloping, just like this. Okay, so I repeat, what are Veblen goods? These are named after Thornstein Veblen, or simply T. Veblen. These are related with social prestige, like expensive diamonds, rare articles, customized cars, customized aeroplanes, etc. Very rare articles, very expensive articles. So when price increases, people buy more. Why? Because these are status symbol. Because let us suppose when price will increase, if a rare article, maybe a painting, may be sold in maybe 10 crore. So rich people will buy. Why? And why they buy? They will actually flaunt in parties. They will say, I just like this painting, so I paid 10 crore rupee. they actually want to show that money is nothing for them. They have so much money, they are so rich that 10 crore rupees, they like something, they pay 10 crore for that. So it is, show off. And when price will decrease, they will not buy. Why? Because they think now anybody can buy. So it is no longer a status symbol for me. So they will not buy. For example, if customized cars, let's suppose they will give order of Mercedes. So Mercedes may be in 5 crore, but customized may be of double 10 crore. So they say, for customization, I paid double or triple of that because, Mercedes company made a unit for me and they did this thing. I told them to make this thing. So they want to show that money is nothing for them. So if they will become expensive, then they will buy. But if customized car become minor difference, maybe just pay 20% extra and car may be customized as per your design. So no, they will not show that. They will not flaunt this thing. Now anybody can buy, anybody can customize car. So this is actually bought by very rich people and used for the show off. Okay, status symbol. They want to show their status. They want to show that money is nothing for them. Because more money, marginal utility of money reduces. So they want to say I have so much money that marginal utility of money for me is zero almost. I can throw crores of rupees, hardly matters for me. So what the point? This is very rich people who buy this, very, very rich people. And who buy now, just see the comparison of Veblen good and Giffen good. So both seems to be similar. Price increases, QD also increases. Both violate law of demand. But who buy this? Very, very rich people. And who buy Giffen good? Very, very poor people. And both violate law of demand. So very rich people and very poor people, both violate law of demand. So I think clear? So difference should be clear. Veblen, Giffen, and inferior is related with income and QD. Okay, relation between this and this is, you should remember this thing. So I think it should be clear. So these terms may be asked in prelims, but you should know the basic difference. Okay, here this violate law of demand, this. Here some of you may have doubt. I'm using the word demand and I'm writing QD here. In general, if demand will increase, QD will automatically increase. So this is also not wrong. Okay, so both words we can use. In books, both are used and both are correct. Reason is that when demand will increase, then QD will automatically increase. What is increase in demand? Increase in demand, QD will automatically increase. So both words are used and got the point in books because both are correct. Because when demand will increase, QD must increase. Achha, Hemant, you have asked as income is changing, that is increase in law of demand, other things must be constant. So increase of inferior good is law of demand not applicable. As income is changing, that is whose income is changing? As income is changing, that is increase of law of demand. That is in case of law of demand, other things must be constant. So in case of inferior goods, is law of demand not applicable? In case of inferior goods, when income of person, demand curve is downward sloping. This is price, this is QD. When price reduces, QD increases. So actually, in case of normally this happens when price reduces, people buy more. Okay, so income will increase, QD will decrease. So Hemant, what you have mentioned, as income is changing. Now whose income is changing? Not everybody income is changing. That is in case of law of demand, other things must be constant. Yes, in law of demand, if other things, income is fixed, everything is fixed. So when price will reduce, QD will increase. Okay, so in case of inferior goods, so at one time, change one thing. If you change 2-3 things, you will not understand anything. Okay, so be focused. At one time, study one thing only. Okay, if price will reduce, QD increases. Normally this happens. So in case of inferior goods, is law of demand not applicable? May be applicable, may not be applicable. I told you in these inferior goods, which are called Giffen, these are inferior goods. Law of demand does not obey. You can see this thing. And in these goods here, it is like this. So just make this diagram clearly. I think Hemant, you will understand. In these inferior goods, which are called Giffen goods, G, the law of demand is like this, upward. And in these goods, law of demand will hold good. So I think it is clear. Karanbir, your question, can we say it is not Griffin, it is Giffen, Giffen. Giffen good is the result of uncontrolled inflation? No, no, no. Giffen goods are actually inferior goods, in whose case price increases, QD increases. Okay, just first understand, it will take some time, you have to think, but practically Giffen goods are difficult to understand, as I told you. That is why there is confusion. Most of the students, I think at least almost half students, they of economics optional and who have done MA in economics, they are confused with these goods. Why they confused? Because most of the students, they don't understand basics. So this is the basic. Clear? And beyond this, question won't be asked in exam. So these are, this is income elasticity or elasticity of demand. Okay, so now some terms we have discussed. Achha, one apart from that, I repeat once more, कि price elasticity of demand. So I have discussed price elasticity of demand. Okay, now give me one more answer. The sign, mathematically, the sign of price elasticity of demand should be positive or negative. So price elasticity of demand is percentage change in QD divided by percentage change in P. So actually or mathematically, the sign should be positive or negative. So P for positive, N for negative. Just write down. Sign should be positive or negative. Very easy question. When price reduces, QD increases normally. So price should be the sign should be positive or negative. So most of you are wrong. All of you are wrong. This was not a difficult question. Why you were wrong? One thing is reduces, other increases. So if variables move in opposite direction, then sign is always negative. I've told you already. So all of you are wrong. It's very rare. Nobody is correct here. So sign is always negative. So sign is negative. Until unless good is given. In case of given good, it will be negative. So sorry, positive. So in case of given good, it could be positive. Otherwise, it is always negative. Got the point? So sign, because one is increasing, other is decreasing. So relation is opposite. So sign is actually negative. But for for analysis, negative sign ignored. But negative sign is ignored. You may write down. It is ignored. So we take the absolute value or mod value, modulus value. Okay, so we remove minus sign. So when I said E greater than 1, so actually it is E greater than minus 1. So minus is ignored. To mention this, in price elasticity of demand, as a convention economics, we ignore sign. We interpret absolute value. Okay, so just I have gone in detail because here I have discussed plus sign, minus sign. Here, as a convention economics, it is ignored. Acha, Mansi Yadav, you ask, how is there an unusual relationship between income and QD in case of inferior good? Unusual relation is that in inferior good, income increases, people buy less. Got the point? Normally, when income increases, people buy more. But in inferior good, when income increases, people buy less. Got the point? So this is unusual relation. So Mansi, I think it is clear. When income increases, QD decreases. This is unusual thing. Okay, so I think it is clear. Acha, one more term here. That is, acha, it should be clear that price I have put in bracket. So when we say elasticity of demand, we mean price elasticity of demand. Now one more term is there, cross elasticity of demand. Can you guess what is cross elasticity of demand? We study cross relationship between two products. Like we have discussed, demand of tea may be affected by price of coffee. Yes or no? Substitute goods. And as I told you, demand of car may be affected by price of petrol complementary goods. Yes or no? So obviously yes, I told you already. So cross elasticity of demand shows relation between demand of one thing and price of other thing. Okay, so just mention the formula EC here. E for elasticity, C for cross. So cross elasticity of demand. Percentage change in QD. QD of X divided by percentage change in price of Y commodity. Okay, so means quantity change of X commodity and price of Y. Let us suppose this X is tea, X is tea and Y is coffee. Now, so tea and coffee are substitutes. Tea and coffee, I told you substitutes. Means when price of coffee will change, demand of tea will change. Now, can you give me idea in this case, tea and coffee, in case of substitutes like tea and coffee, the sign of this should be positive or negative. Write down P for positive, N for negative in case of substitutes. Tea and coffee are substitutes. The sign will be positive. EC should be positive or negative, P or N. Very easy question, not difficult. Sign should be EC should be positive in case of substitutes, and in case of complementary goods, EC sign should be, yes, most of you are correct here. Most of you are correct. Yes, good. So positive. Why positive? Because if price of coffee will increase, demand of tea will also increase. So relation is positive. Both are increasing. Positive relation, positive. And in complementary goods like petrol and car, if price of petrol will increase, demand of car will decrease. So it is negative. If EC is negative, then goods must be complementary. Okay, and if EC is positive, goods must be substitutes. So I think it is clear. This is cross elasticity of demand. So if I repeat once more, here we ignore sign, okay, and here we don't ignore sign. Here if it is positive, the goods X and Y should be substitute, and if it is negative, the goods must be complementary. Just like petrol and car, if you take the demand of car and divide by petrol, price of petrol, change in price of petrol, so it will be negative. Okay, so there are three types of elasticities. The most important is elasticity is which one? Price elasticity of demand. If nothing is mentioned, we mean this. So only just broad idea about this income and cross elasticity of demand. Now the last and the most important topic of this chapter is, in this chapter I will give you illustration of this the impact actually means the most important concern of economics. I will discuss the most important concern. Do you know what is most important concern of economics? In the beginning of the syllabus when we started, I told you what is economics. What is core concern of economics? Can you guess? Core concern of economics is resource allocation. Okay, whatever resources we have, they are scarce in relation to our demands. So the main focus of economics is to how we shall optimally utilize or allocate our resources. So allocation of resources is the core concern of economics. So I will discuss how resources are allocated and how resources are allocated, and here I will discuss government versus the markets. So with the help of demand and supply curves, I will discuss the core concern of economics, and I will give you rationale of economic reforms. Okay, so last, but I think new topic will take up after break. Okay, after 5 minutes we'll continue. Okay, we'll continue after 5 minutes. Okay, the one doubt, Ankit, you have asked what are factors that determine PPP exchange rate of an economy and how a country or government can increase PPP value. So I told you already कि PPP exchange rate is based on relative price levels. So PPP is based on purchasing power of currency, that is purchasing power of rupee in India and dollar in USA. So the only way to means appreciate rupee in terms of PPP is that we have to increase purchasing power of rupee in India. And how purchasing power of rupee will increase? By reducing inflation. When inflation rate will remain low, so then purchasing power of rupee will increase. So the only thing is that we have to improve the rather improve quality of goods. We should produce better quality of goods and price should not increase. Okay, so overall mainly price should not increase, relative price level only affects this. Tushar Goel, your question? uh, don't get the meaning unusual relation. So unusual is a English word, no? Unusual means because normally what happens? Usually when price of anything reduces, people buy more. That is usual relation. And if price reduces, people buy more. And if price reducing, people are not buying much. So that is unusual. Anything which is not usual is unusual. It's an English word. Okay, now next, the core concern of economics is resource allocation. Resource allocation. So resource allocation simply means we have limited resources. We have to allocate them properly. It means that we shall use them properly in the sense that we shall allocate resources for production of various goods and services in such a manner which will maximize well-being of people. As I told you, the main focus of economics is to ensure optimal resource allocation. And optimal means that resource allocation which will maximize well-being of people. That is resource allocation meaning. Or in more simple words, if we allocate more resources for something, so what does mean? Ki production of that thing should be more. And if we are allocating less resources for production of something, it means that production should be less. So in very simple words, so resource allocation means how much of each good how we should produce. If we want to produce more of something, we have to allocate more resources. Okay, so in simple words, it means what to produce. And in what quantity. This question actually explains the meaning of resource allocation, what to produce and in what quantity. If we will produce more of something, more resources allocated. If less of something, less resources allocated. If not production, no resource allocated for that. So what to produce and in what quantity. In very simple words, this is meaning of resource allocation. Now next thing is that who can decide what to produce in a economy, in a country, and what not to produce and what quantity. So one option is that government may decide what to produce in what quantity. So there are two possibilities. One is that government may decide. Government, we may call it technically economic planning. Through economic planning, government may decide, because overall policies of government, focus of economics on resource allocation. When we say economic planning, planning commission or planning authority, Niti Aayog, anybody, when it makes plan, that is for development, it deals with allocation of resources. So government decide what to produce in what quantity. Now can you give me the means? What are means or measures taken by government to ensure more of something to be produced or less of something to be produced? Means that is to allocate resources. So can you give me example of any government measures to ensure resource allocation, like to ensure that more of something to be produced and less of something to be produced? Can you give me examples? Resource allocation, how government allocate resources? Okay, if how government ensures more of something to be produced, less of something to be produced, can you give me any government measure? Any example? Yes, Radhika Bajaj, you have given correct answer, subsidy, yes. Because if government want to encourage production of something, government may give subsidy. Okay, like government subsidy will give support to producers. Uh, Other is Shivam, human resource development. Yes, correct. Yes, Sneha, you have given license. Yes, license. Hemant, you have given incentives. Yes, all of you are correct. Uh, Arunva Chakravarti, you have also given license and regulation. Yes, permit, MSP. Yes, all of you are correct. Yes, good. So license. Like permit means permit license almost same means permission is needed. Government may give license only those things which are which government want to allow. Otherwise government may not give license. Other is minimum support price, yes, because MSP of a crop seeks to encourage production of that by assuring a minimum price. Price will not be below this, so MSP will encourage production. Production means resource allocation. Other very important thing is taxes, etc. So these are the measures which government can use to ensure resource allocation. The objective of this subsidy, etc., is ensure resource allocation. You know why government is giving so much subsidies to agriculture sector? Why? Because reason is that it is important for achieving social objectives. Because if government will not give subsidy to agriculture, let us suppose if government will remove subsidy on inputs like fertilizers, seeds, so what will happen to agriculture production? So will obviously will come down. If government will not give subsidy on seeds, fertilizers, etc., so production of agriculture will come down, and it will worsen the hunger situation in the country. Got the point? Food security may be threatened. So it is important, actually government want that more resources should be allocated for production of agricultural goods, because that is very important to achieve, to eliminate hunger, to achieve food security. And even agriculture sector from business perspective is not a very good business, like it's not a very viable business, not a very lucrative business. If government will not give subsidy to farmers, so farming may not be viable, so production will come down, less resource allocation, it will means affect the allocation of resources. So got the point? So similarly, through licensing, government regulate how much of each commodity to be produced, because license will be given as per the resources are limited. So government decides how much this thing you should produce, so how much license we should give for production of one thing in which area. So this is how government allocate resources, and obviously objective is to enhance well-being of people. Okay, so there are two options I told you for resource allocation. So one is that government may decide, and second option is government may not decide. Got the point? So two possibilities are there. Government decides through these measures what to produce in what quantity. Second, government may not decide. Then what will happen if government will not decide? Government will not intervene. Then automatic. What happens automatically? Then automatic process is called market mechanism. Market mechanism. Market mechanisms will allocate resources. Okay, and I told you already, markets work when government will not intervene. Okay, so LPG policy has to be adopted to enable markets to operate. I told you already. So when government will not intervene, then market means demand and supply. Whatever people like, they would like to buy. Whatever is more profitable, firm will produce that. So demand and supply simply. And there will be, I told you already, market mechanisms work in this way. Like this is product A. So this is demand of A. This is supply of A. This will be price of this A, PA, I mean, right? And quantity of A. Okay, so production of everything is based on demand and supply, whether curves are constructed or not. Similarly for commodity B, let us suppose for B this is demand, this is supply, this is price of B, this is quantity of B, just make this diagram. And similarly for C, D, etc. For every commodity, how much quantity produced will be decided, and at what price sold, decided on the basis of demand and supply. Okay, so just make the diagram first and then answer one question. Can you visualize resource allocation in this diagram? Now please answer this question. First of all, try to understand the question. How markets allocate resources? I want to ask this thing, market mechanism. So how market mechanism allocate resources? So I told you it allocates resources on the basis of demand and supply. So production of each and everything is based on its demand and supply, whether curves are constructed or not. Now my question is that can you visualize resource allocation in this diagram? Can you see resource allocation? Now give me answer, but don't use the technical words. Don't use the word demand. Don't use the word supply. Don't use the word equilibrium. Please don't use any technical word. In simple words, can you explain very short answer where you can visualize resource allocation? Okay, please now respond. Can you see resource allocation here in simple words so that all of your colleagues should understand? Give me answer of this in simple word. Hemant, you have mentioned raw material supply. No, raw material supply. where resource allocation is visible. Can you see resource allocation in this diagram here? So make this diagram and give answer. Karthik, you have given answer no. Shivam Pathak, you have given answer no. Just try to see. I think you can see. You can see. And Devanshi, you have given yes. You have mentioned prices. No. Ayush, you have given Ayush Purohit. Yes, people buying the product and farm manufacturing products. In simple word. No, not very clear. Arpit, based on production. Clarify it more, Arpit. Intersecting point is equilibrium. So don't use the word intersecting point. That is equilibrium. Prashant Raj, no. Price you have mentioned, no. Nobody has given correct answer. Cannot you see? Resource allocation. Resource allocation means what to produce and in what quantity. Is it visible here or not in this diagram? What to produce in what quantity? Lanka Durgesh, you have given answer based on equilibrium. I told you, you need not require to use the word technical word equilibrium. Parth Lal, price includes resource allocation, price plus profit. No, Parth Lal, no. Where both consumers and sellers agree to buy and sell certain product. Tarun, you have mentioned. Nobody is correct here. But normally I think few students can give correct answer. Cannot you see what to produce and what quantity here in this diagram? So Tushar, yes in figure, but what? Nobody is able to see. What is this? OQA, quantity of A which is to be produced. What is this? Quantity of B to be produced. It is not resource allocation. What to produce in what quantity? OQA, OQB. This is resource allocation. Cannot you see this? Is not visible. This much quantity of A to be produced, this much quantity of B to be produced. So what is meaning of resource allocation? You can see what to produce and what quantity is not visible. A this much, B this much. So why did not you saw this earlier? Okay, so normally students give answer, correct answer. 2-3 students out of 100, 4, 5 or 10 students sometimes give correct answer. But nobody of you give correct answer. So this much of quantity A, this much quantity of B, this much quantity of C is produced. So this is a resource allocation. This is how markets allocate resources. And resource allocation means what to produce and what quantity is based on demand and supply. Okay, and it is dynamic. It keeps on changing. For example, this is A is a product which is, let us suppose, marker. So A is marker. And now people's liking for marker is increasing. People's liking in the sense that like now schools and educational institutions are shifting from blackboard to whiteboard, from chalk to marker. So what will happen? When people prefer marker more than chalk, then the demand of marker will increase. When demand of marker will increase, what will happen? Price of this marker will go up. When price will go up, then profit of firms in producing marker will increase or decrease. When price is more, the profit will increase. It will incentivize firm to produce more marker. So supply of marker will also, quantity supplied will increase. So production of marker will increase. So this is how it happens. So if people like more of this commodity, more will be produced. How? When people like more, they prefer over other things, like people prefer marker over chalks. So what will happen? Demand of marker will increase. Okay, when demand will increase, price will increase. It will give a signal to firms that they have to produce more to earn more profit. So production will increase. Got the point? If people don't like this product, so demand will come down, price will come down. So profit of firm will come down, they will reduce production. So can we say, if I say that production is based on the overall likings of people, wishes of people overall in the country, yes or no? If I want to infer this thing, in this production is based on demand and supply, and in more simple words, whatever people like, overall collective wishes of people, production is according to that. So if I want to infer this thing, is it correct or wrong? So give me answer, correct or wrong, C or W. I am inferring this thing, it is actually production of each thing is based on the overall willingness of people, how much people like that commodity, wishes of people, collective wishes of people. Overall demand is more of this produce, less demand, less produce. So is it correct or wrong? Please give me answer. Correct or wrong? So Archana, you have given answer correct. And so no, that was earlier previous question. Achha, Shivam and Yogesh, yes, all of you are correct. Yes, it is correct. Because if you like more demand, because your preferences are revealed in demand overall. And when you like more, people like more, demand will increase and obviously production will increase. So demand depends on people's preferences, people's likings. Okay. And supply is based on, supply is dependent on the availability of resources, what we can produce, and technical feasibility is what we can produce. And the main objective of firms is to make profit, as we have discussed already. So I think it should be clear how markets allocate resources. So this is visible now. You all of you can see resource allocation. Now I will see the what are pros and cons of resource allocation by markets. So what are positive aspects and what are negative aspects. Okay. So now next topic is resource allocation by market mechanism. So next topic mention resource allocation by. Achha, can you give me one answer? In India, in pre-reform era, before 1991, so by and large, resource allocation was made by government or market mechanism in pre-reform era. So obviously, in pre-reform era, in India, resource allocation was made by market or government. So can you give me answer? Just write down G and or M in pre-reform era. I'm talking about in pre-reform era. So in pre-reform era, so answer obviously is government, because license permit was there for everything. Government controls for much, and it was called ki license permit quota raj was there, means in sarcastic language. Now in post reform era, so, okay, I think all of you are correct here. So yes, so in post reform era, so in post reform era market, because reforms in 1991 we adopted which policy? LPG. And because until this policy is liberal, market will not work. I told you already, liberal policy, because if government will regulate, then whatever demand, maybe demand that cannot be produced. If government will ban something, okay, or whatever may be the price fixed by government, so demand may be more or less, the price cannot change. So if government intervenes, market won't work. So for enabling market to work, we have to adopt which kind of policy? Liberal policy, liberalization. Private sector means allow people to do whatever they want, and globalization means even competition from foreign firms should be allowed. So overall LPG policy, we adopted reforms in 91. In 1991, we adopted reforms, LPG policy, to give market orientation to economy. I have already dictated earlier Indian economy to market. Now we'll discuss why we went to market. What are advantages of market mechanism, or what are disadvantages vis-a-vis government. So first of all, resource allocation by market mechanism. Now come to this point, write down the advantages. So first advantage is that optimal resource allocation. So optimal resource allocation, on what basis I am saying optimal? So resource allocation is optimal because to just mention कि it is based on, to just mention resource allocation is based on collective. So resource allocation is based on collective wishes of people. Collective wishes of people, in very simple words. So resource allocation is based on collective wishes of people. Okay, so I told you if people like more this thing, so production of this will increase. Okay, so production is based on collective wishes of people. So if people like more something, more of that will be produced. So when people like this, demand will increase and price will increase. That is based on collective wishes of people. So overall, is it desirable thing or not? Can we say it, call it optimal or not? But it should be clear, yes, certainly it is optimal, but it should be clear that optimal word itself is subjective. Optimal word is not a very objective term. So this is good. And why it is optimal, I am saying, because if your wish is fulfilled, what you want else beyond that? If your wish is fulfilled, what you want beyond that? Got the point here? As per wishes of people, production takes place. If people like this, more of this will be produced. Although it is not 100%. I told you subjectivity is there. It is not 100% perfect. Like somebody wish to buy alcohol or cigarette, and alcohol or cigarette may not be good for that person's health or for society, but if a person is willing to pay, market will produce that. So this is one minor limitation of this. Okay, so optimal word is not 100% perfect, it should be clear. So here we cannot say perfect resource allocation, but optimal word we can use. But although there may be some minor issues, like for example, your wishes may not be good for yourself or for society. So, but still, like example, I give you tobacco or alcohol. If people like to buy tobacco, alcohol, they will be willing to pay. So market will produce that, firms will produce, they will get earn profit by selling cigarette or alcohol. But that may not be desirable for society overall. Got the point? So some issues could be there, but by and large optimal, because based on wishes of people. Perfection is not possible in real world, as I told you already. Second is efficiency in resource use, or efficiency or efficient resource use. Efficient resource use. So efficient resource use. So resources are used most efficiently here under these markets. Efficient resource use. So efficient resource use means that resources are used efficiently. Now what is meaning of efficiency? Efficiency, you know, means that with given inputs we can maximize output. Got the point? So with given inputs we can maximize output. Example is like within maybe 2 hours you may learn more, then your learning process more efficient. Okay, let's suppose you are learning one class lecture. If you learn in a given, you can learn in lesser time. Okay, so you can the same lecture. So we can say one thing is that with given input we can maximize output. Other thing is to produce a given output we can minimize input. Like to learn one lecture you can minimize the time needed for that. So your system will be efficient. So in least input you can get the same output. Okay, that is meaning of efficiency. This is an English word actually. Just I have explained the meaning of efficiency. Now efficiency in resource use. Now the question is that why efficiency? Okay, I have just explained the meaning of word, English word efficiency, because there should not be confusion. What is meaning of efficiency? With given input maximize output, or to get a given output minimize input. That is meaning of efficiency. Now how efficiency will improve? There are two reasons which I told you briefly earlier also. One reason is that markets operate under competitive conditions. If government will not grant license, if production of anything is profitable, more and more firm will enter, though there is competition will be there. And in competition, do you think inefficient firms can survive? So obviously no, because it creates do or die situation. Either you improve efficiency, otherwise you will be wiped out. So first reason is that, so first point mention this, why system will become more efficient. So mention this, कि markets operate under competitive conditions. Which compels firms to improve efficiency. So markets operate under competitive conditions, which compels firms to improve efficiency. Okay, so markets operate under competitive conditions, which compels firms to improve efficiency. Okay, so there is a saying, there is a necessity, mother is a necessity of invention. So until unless there is need, nobody will improve. So here it will create do or die situation for firms. So that is why firms have to become efficient. Okay, one thing. Second thing is that if government is not intervening here, so who will do production, government or private? So obviously private sector. And private sector, why private companies are established? Main object is profit. So self-interest is there. So private companies want to reduce cost. So reduce cost means reducing resources so that they can earn more profit, because more resource, more cost needed. So mention this next point is कि economic activities are undertaken by private sector. Economic activities are undertaken by private sector, which is motivated by self-interest. That is, production is profit induced. So that is production is profit induced. So companies, firms have interest to improve efficiency, to reduce costs so that they can earn more and more profit, because self-interest is there. So that is why efficiency is more. And normally in government companies, in general, efficiency is usually low. Why low? Because nobody is having self-interest. Because jobs are permanent. Whether you work or not, you will get fixed salary. Promotion is usually time bound. So that is why people they are not very much willing to work. And the CEO of that company, the managing director, etc., they will get fixed salary irrespective of profit or loss. In case of private company, if there is loss, the owner will lose everything in case of loss. So, but in public sector company, even it is loss, under loss, the everybody will get fixed salary. So personal incentives are missing. That is one reason. Usually, not always. Some usually public sector companies, means government companies, are not very efficient because of lack of incentive. So here in private sector, incentive is there, self-interest is there. That is why private entrepreneurs, they work hard and they think of improving efficiency, reducing costs so that they can earn more and more profit. So that is why efficiency improves. Got the point here? So can we say for enhancing well-being, both of these things are important? So efficient system should be efficient because resources are limited. So they have to be used efficiently, because if we waste resources, then obviously well-being may be compromised. Achha, now remember one thing, ki both are same thing or different thing. So it should be clear, both are different. Resource allocation is entirely different from efficiency in resource use. How they are different? I will give you overall picture. Okay, what is this and what is this in simple illustration. Okay, for example, we have these resources. We have these resources. Okay, some land, some labor, etc. We have these resources. Now, what is meaning of resource allocation? Resource allocation means that out of these resources, how much we shall allocate for production of maybe wheat, how much for this board, how much for the table. What the point? For everything, how much we have. So let us suppose we have allocated, let us suppose these resources, few resources for production of this table. Okay, we have resources for production of this, we have allocated these resources. For production of something, we will allocate some more resources. Okay, let us suppose for production of table, we have allocated these resources for production of this podium, for example. Now, so this is actually, first is resource allocation. How much for podium, how much for this board, and how much for wheat, and how much for different things. This is resource allocation. Now, efficient resource use means, for example, for this podium, I have discussed that these resources have been allocated for production of podium. Now, how to maximize production of podium by using these resources only. This is efficiency in resource use. Got the point? How efficiency means whatever resources allocated for a given purpose, now how to maximize output of that by using the given resources. That is efficiency. And resource allocation, how much resources will be given for this purpose, for this thing, how much for other things, because resources are limited, so we have to make optimal use of resources. Okay, so both are actually different things. Okay, and for enhancing well-being of people, can we say both are important? So certainly both are important, because if system is highly efficient, can it enhance well-being of people if resource allocation is not efficient? No. How? I'll give you illustration. For example, if system is very efficient, let us suppose we allocated most of the resources for the production of anything, let's suppose this pen. And what we are doing, we are producing the best quality of pen, and we are just producing pen. Everything is used. We are using our plastic, wood, and everything, iron for making pen. We are making very good pen. And people may be hungry because we don't have allocated much resources for food. So what will happen? System may be very efficient, but if resource allocation is not optimal, can well-being will improve? We are producing best quality of pen, but we don't have food to eat. So will it enhance well-being? No. So allocation is also important for well-being and efficiency. Okay, so only efficiency cannot enhance well-being. Similarly, optimal resource allocation cannot enhance well-being without this. For example, we have allocated properly resources, but production is not, system is very inefficient, leading to wastage, so production will be much lesser. So well-being will not be increased. So for two things are very important for enhancing well-being. So one is optimal resource allocation and efficiency in resource use. So market ensure both of these things. And does it actually happens? So this is subjective. Optimal is somewhat subjective. As far as efficiency can be objectively measured, had it happened or not? So you can see when we adopted reforms in 1991 LPG policy, we give market orientation. And I have already told you, we became one of the fastest growing economy in the world. So growth rate accelerated, efficiency improved. I will give you data, some more data. Some data I have told you already. कि growth rate India became one of the fastest growing economy in the world. So earlier in pre-reform era growth was low and here growth increased much. So this is a fact. In this year's economic survey, they have also mentioned this aspect. After this topic, I will briefly give you idea about that. So got the point here. So this actually happens. Now as far as optimal allocation, to optimal I told you there may be some issues like liquor and tobacco I told you, or cigarette production of that may increase because people may demand if government will not intervene. So these are advantages. Now next we will discuss disadvantages. Disadvantages, we may say limitations of market mechanism. These are limitations of market mechanism, or in other words, market in some cases fail to allocate resources properly. So what are issues? To write down first point here, limitations of market mechanism. To mention this first point, कि markets cannot ensure social justice. Markets cannot ensure social justice. That is, markets cannot resolve the problems of poverty, unemployment, inequalities, etc. So when we say social justice, poverty, inequality, unemployment, these things cannot be resolved. There will be a question mark. Because why? So just mention the reason for this. To mention this, कि markets can fill the gap between demand and supply. Markets can fill the gap between demand and supply. Markets can fill the gap between demand and supply, but not the gap between need and supply. Markets can fill the gap between demand and supply, but not the gap between need and supply. Okay, so market can fill this gap, demand and supply. But for enhancing well-being, supply should be as per demand or as per need. So it should be as per need. This cannot be. You can see how. For example, if price is low, I give you example already, P1. So what will happen? When price will be low, so demand will be more. There will be shortage. So I have already told you this thing. So what will happen when shortage? People will be willing to pay higher price will go up and this gap will be automatically filled. So demand and supply gap, market mechanism automatically fills. Okay, I told you already how market mechanisms work. And if price may be more, T2, so ultimately what will happen? Firm won't be able to sell, they will reduce price. So demand supply gap is filled, but not need and supply. Now what is problem in demand and supply? I told you कि if you want to buy aeroplane and you don't have money, so will your desire be called demand? The answer is no. Similarly, if a person is hungry and don't have money, do you think that person's desire to buy food will constitute demand? So obviously no. Just like your desire to buy aeroplane is not demand. Similarly, the person who is hungry, the person's desire to buy food will be desire, not demand. And that person won't have money, nobody will provide food to them. This is the problem. It means that those people who don't have money will not get even food. And those people who have money will get all sorts of luxuries. This is the problem. Social justice cannot be. Inequalities will further increase. I told you already that when poor people may not be able to get proper education, proper health facilities, so they may not be healthy educated, so their earning will reduce. Rich people's children will earn more, so inequalities will further increase, poverty will increase, unemployment could be there. This is the most important problem. Okay, efficiency will be there, productivity, production, but there means social justice will not be ensured, means poor people may be deprived. So distribution should not be equal, that more production will be taken by only very few people. So got the point here? So one most important issue is that although efficiency could be there, but inequalities may increase, poverty may increase, unemployment may increase. Clear? Social justice cannot be ensured. This is very important limitation. Now next point, markets cannot resolve macroeconomic problems. markets cannot resolve macroeconomic problems. अच्छा, macroeconomic means national level problems, or socioeconomic, basically those are socioeconomic problems. Markets cannot resolve macroeconomic problems like long term growth, comma sustainable development, sustainable development slash conservation of environment, comma price stability, comma poverty alleviation, etc. So markets cannot resolve macroeconomic problems like long term growth, sustainable development slash environmental conservation, price stability, poverty alleviation, etc. अच्छा, तो what is macroeconomic problem? I told you national level problems or socioeconomic problems. तो poverty alleviation I've written here as well as here. So actually socioeconomic means like social justice is also a macroeconomic problem. Poverty, unemployment, resolving those is also a macroeconomic problem. Apart from that, other macroeconomic problems are like price stability. I already give you data, this idea कि if government will not intervene, the prices of agriculture commodities are very volatile. So how government stabilize? Through MSP. Got the point? So this is a limitation of market or not? So one limitation of market I have already told you, in agriculture sector prices are very much volatile. So government intervenes in the market to stabilize prices. Apart from that, like if government will not give subsidy to agriculture, so production will be less, so food security cannot be ensured. Okay, other sustainable development. Do you think if government will not make any norm for environmental protection, farm will take care of that? Obviously no. So for sustained development and this and even long-term growth, do you think farm will think about what will happen after 50 years or 100 years later? So hardly anybody will think. Farm will keep on polluting, or they will keep on degrading resources, depleting resources, because hardly farm will think about this. So macroeconomic problems cannot be resolved. National level problems cannot be resolved overall. Acha, why? To mention the reason for this, to mention that कि markets, the reason for this mention कि markets have a very narrow perspective. Markets have a very narrow perspective. That is, they cater CATR, they cater only to short-term needs, of well-off sections, short-term needs of well-off sections in developed areas. Okay, so what I have mentioned here, कि markets have a very narrow perspective. They only caters to what they can fulfill. They can fulfill only short-term need, because they don't have a long-term perspective. No firm will think of long-term. Maybe after 50 years, 100 years, what will happen? Okay, so one thing, they have caters to short-term needs of well-off sections. Why? Because those people who have money, related to this point, they cater to the requirement of those people who are willing to pay, who have the money to pay. uh, of well-off sections and developed areas. Usually in backward areas, people don't have money, so that is why markets fail there. So this is the problem. Market have a very narrow perspective. This is one major limitation of market. So I think it is clear. Okay, why this problem? Now third point. So I told you markets operate efficiently under competitive conditions. I told you already. Now, what do you think if government will not intervene? What firm want? Firm want to promote competition or eliminate competition? Can you give me answer? In general, what firms want? They want to promote competition. Just mention P for promote competition, or eliminate competition, E for eliminate, among themselves. In any business, or when you will do business, you would like that there should be competition in the market, or there should not be competition. What do you want? P for promoting competition, E for eliminating competition. So very simple. If there will be competition, you cannot earn a very high profit. So anybody who does business want to eliminate competition. So just write it down. Yes, you are correct. Eliminate competition. Most of you are correct here. I told you earlier also that just like cartelization is one example of eliminating competition. So you may mention this thing. Yes, all of you are correct here. To mention this thing, if markets operate efficiently under competitive conditions. Markets operate efficiently under competitive conditions, comma, which seldom exist. Seldom is rarely, which seldom exist without government intervention. Which seldom exists without government intervention. Okay, so I repeat, markets operate efficiently only under competitive conditions. It should be clear कि if there is no competition, market cannot, these advantages will not be there if there is no competition. So, and without government intervention, can there be competitive condition? So obviously no. So it means that कि if we think markets are best, and if government will leave it completely, so what will happen? Can system be efficient? No, even these advantages will not be there. Because until unless there is competition, market will not achieve even these objectives. How? For example, acha, how government ensures competitive conditions? Because then private company may make monopolies. They indulge in anti-competitive practice. Okay, to make more profit, they will exploit people, consumers. So best market is perfect competition or somewhat competition. Otherwise, there could be monopolies or and other exploitation like in oligopoly also, or any other market. There may be cartelizations and anti-competitive practice will be there to make more profit, and they will exploit consumers. So well-being will be affected. Acha, how government ensures competitive conditions? Government ensures competitive conditions by appropriate legislations, like we have passed various laws like Competition Act 2002. Earlier we had MRTP Act. Now various laws are there, various regulators are there which ensure competition, like we have Competition Commission of India, for banks RBI, for telecom regulatory authority of India. So various regulators have been established to ensure there should be healthy competition among firms, and so that consumers should not be exploited. So without actually laws, without regulators, without rules and regulations, can there be competition? No. So even if markets are best, so to enable them to operate, government intervention is needed. What the point of this is also a limitation. The market cannot work on its own. Government has to create enabling condition. Okay, even if markets are best, market cannot be efficient on its own. Government has to create enabling conditions. And one more point, last point in this. So fourth point just mentioned, in some cases market completely fail. That is called market failure. To mention next point, कि markets fail to allocate resources. Markets fail to allocate resources efficiently under certain conditions. Under certain conditions. Like in case of natural monopoly, like in case of natural monopoly, comma, information asymmetries, information asymmetries, information asymmetry in bracket, lack of information, lack of we can say lack of information or proper information. So information asymmetry means lack of information, comma, externalities, etc. Okay, so I repeat once more. So I told you that markets fail to allocate resources efficiently under certain conditions. So market fail in some condition, like whenever there is natural monopoly, market fail. Whenever information asymmetry means proper information is not available, to market fail. Other is externalities. Wherever externalities are there, market will fail. So example, first one by one I will explain how market fail. First thing is that national monopoly. I told you already, like Delhi Agra highway, I give you example. So do you think competition is desirable in that? So obviously no. So competition is not desirable, and if competition is not desirable, competition is not there, can market work? No. I told you market in the previous point, without competition market cannot work, and in natural monopoly competition is undesirable thing. So competition should not be there, and when competition is not there, market will fail. I gave you example ki why the highway like Delhi Agra highway is constructed by private company, but why government is a partner in that? Why government has not left it to private sector? So actually government is a partner to ensure that private sector should not exploit consumers, because it is a type of monopoly. Because if you want to go from Delhi to Agra, if you take other route, that will be, you know, it may be much longer, and it may not be much longer, but at least you know, road quality will not be good, so it will take much time, much petrol extra. So you have to pay, means it means that the competition is not much. If government will not regulate, the private company which will make a highway may charge very high tariff. So this is the reason कि wherever national monopoly is there, market fail. I have told you already this thing. So got the point here. In the case of national monopoly, market fail. Other, information asymmetry means lack of proper information. For example, in monopolistic competition, I told you there is some scope of exploitation. Yes or no? Yes. Why? Because the firm will distinguish the product and may charge high price. For example, like cosmetics, if there is a cream, normal cream is of 100 rupee, and other company's cream may be of 500 rupee. But do you think the cream which is of 500 is better than the cream which is available in 100 rupee? So obviously you cannot say with the only the packing may be good. Okay, only packing, the shape may be somewhat good, packing may be good, and the cream may be rather even worse. Or just they may put just additional fragrance and may charge maybe 3, 4, 5 times. So because of lack of information, because you know, in lot of products we cannot distinguish between the products properly. Is it so expensive? So some people think if it is branded, if it is expensive, it may be good, but there is guarantee the thing which is expensive must be good in quality. Not always. So this is here markets fail. Got the point here? Like in case of when product, people, consumers may not have proper idea. So firm may show that our product is much better. They may charge much higher price. They may exploit consumers. So market is failing here. So this is very simple. And third is externalities. So wherever externalities are, the market fail. So first of all, what is meaning of externality? So externality, write down the definition of externality. So just mention externality means that is impact of one economic activity on other activities. So impact of one economic activity on other activities. Now rather separately I will discuss. So externality means impact of an economic activity on other activities. To make this diagram, externalities. So externalities, the impact should be good or bad or both. So obviously one activity may have a positive impact on others or may have a negative impact. So there are instances of both positive externalities and negative externalities. So example of positive externality is like infrastructure. Illustration like roads, schools. Okay, roads, schools, hospitals. Okay, so energy, these are infrastructure. An example of negative externality is pollution. Okay, I'll explain one by one. For example, pollution, like if a firm is producing something and polluting the air or water nearby, so it will have a negative impact on society or not? So it is a negative externality, very simple. And roads are positive external, have positive benefit to other things also or not? For example, the main objective of road is to facilitate transportation. But if roads will be good in a country, will it benefit the economy overall? Yes or no? So there will be, obviously, yes, the lot of benefits will be there. Like not only just transportation, there will be lot of other benefits. The scope of economic activities will increase. Goods could be quickly transported. So price difference of commodities may decrease. Labor mobility may increase. Okay, so a lot of benefits will be there. Specialization, scope of specialization will increase. So roads will benefit economy in different ways. Similarly, if there will be good quality of schools, so objective of school is to educate children. So do you think apart from educating children, there will be other benefits to society? So obviously yes, because if children will be educated, everybody will be educated, then some social ills could be reduced. It will increase the growth potential of economy. Okay, lot of benefits are there of people will be educated. So there are a lot of benefits. And you know why? Government is so much concerned about developing infrastructure sector. Why it is so important in any country? Because of this thing, because infrastructure is not just one thing, it benefits entire economy. Because if you produce anything, you do any business, commercial business, maybe you start making a marker, or you establish a restaurant or any product, then you are doing one business, you are producing one product. But once you are developing infrastructure, anybody, government will develop, so it will not benefit this thing, but will have lot of benefits to society or economy. So infrastructure is important because of this point only. But wherever actually externalities are there, market will fail. How? I will give you an answer. So although means I'm going in technicalities here. Let us suppose, take an example, first pollution. A farm is producing marker and it is dumping waste in nearby. Let's suppose it is along the river, and it is dumping the waste in river, and government is not intervening at all. So do you think farm will take care of this waste? Yes or no? Obviously no. If there is no regulation of environmental norms may not be there in that country, so farm will keep on polluting. It hardly will bother. So take just make this diagram for pollution. Let's suppose this is demand, this is supply of this marker. Okay, this is price of this marker, this is quantity of this marker sold. Okay, just make this diagram first. And farm is creating pollution, no government regulation is there. So this is marker produced in that area, and this is the price of marker. Okay, have you drawn the diagram? Now, government started intervening. Government make pollution norms. Government made a norm that you have to treat waste properly. You cannot dump waste in the nearby river. You have to treat waste properly or dump in a proper place. So now a farm has to incur additional cost, yes or no? So which curve will be affected, demand or supply? Increase or decrease? So which curve will be affected? If farm pollution norms, then cost of farm will increase. So which curve will be affected by this? So I told you already, when cost of production increases, supply reduces. Farm is creating supply, so it will reduce supply. So how would you show reduction in supply? I think some of you can answer this question. So how you show reduction in supply? I told you cost will affect supply. So supply curve will shift leftward. Okay, so supply will reduce. Because, got the point? When supply will reduce, so production quantity will reduce and price will go up, because farm will pass on some cost to consumers. Okay, some of you have given correct answer. I think you must have understood this. So supply will reduce, and when supply will reduce, so because of additional cost incurred, so farm will pass on to consumer. Even consumer will buy less when price will go up. Now, which is better? Which is socially optimal? The outcome related with S or S1? Which is better actually? Which is better resource allocation? Which is shown by S or S1? Can you give me answer? Which shows better resource allocation? S or S1? Which is optimal? So S or this S1? So obviously answer is S1. Why S1? Because less production is better here and higher price is better. Why? It was a resource distortion. It was distortion because earlier consumer was not bearing the entire cost. Partially consumer, partially society. So that is why it was cheaper. So, and it was creating pollution. So what happened? Earlier there was bad things for overproduction. Actual production should be Q1. Q1 should be better and price should be higher. So in case of bad things, there will be overproduction. Okay, so all of you have given correct answer here. So it means that in case of bad things, okay, for bad, things which are creating negative externality, there will be overproduction. Overproduction will be there. Just like you can see, it should be Q1. Achha, why there was overproduction? Because they were not bearing the entire cost. Got the point? They were putting some cost on society, and it is irrational. If any consumer is using, so that consumer should bear the cost. Why society should bear the cost? Why everybody should suffer? If a person is using something, so person should bear the entire cost. Why society should suffer? So this is actually a example where how resource allocation could be distorted if government will not intervene. So I think it is very difficult. So some of you would have problem in understanding this, but don't worry. For examination point of view, you can just mention in words. In case of bad things which have negative externality, they will be overproduction. Just mention in word. In case of bad things means which have negative externalities, they will be overproduction because prices will be cheaper than it should be. Okay, in words. But if you have doubt, I think now I'll give you very easy illustration, much easier than this now in terms of school. Now I'll give you illustration in terms of school. This is much easier than this. So I think almost half of you must have understood this. So half of you who have not understood, at least half of that will understand here. Okay, at least 75% of you will understand, and rest you can write in words this thing. Now, just make a curve first. This is demand of school, this is supply of school. It's very easy, just make the curve along with me. This is price, this is quantity. So quantity means number of schools here. Here number of schools in a given area. And price means fee. Here is school fee. So let us suppose it is in private sector. All schools are in private sector. So when people establish private school, what is main objective? To educate society or to earn profit? So school is also business. So people who establish a school, they establish school for earning profit, and it is not wrong. Earning profit is not wrong. Got the point? So people establish school for earning profit. Now my question is that from you people, case supply of a school, do you think private sector schools, they will confine supply to the revenue they can collect from the fee, or they will also consider social benefit? Now the question is that shall they consider social benefit, yes or no? Although their activity is benefiting society, but do they consider social benefit, yes or no, in general? Or they will be confined to the money they can collect from the students or from the parents of the students? So do they consider social benefit, yes or no? Do they consider their own benefit and social, or own benefit only, how much revenue? So obviously, yes, Archana, you have given earn profit. Yes, certainly their objective is to earn profit. They will not consider social benefit, but their activity is benefiting society without any doubt. Okay, so but anyhow, got the point here? So they will confine. So yes, all of you are correct here. They will confine this benefit to this. But since a school is beneficial, so government may pass on this benefit to them, because their activity, although they have their own interest to earn profit, which is not wrong. I told you already, earning profit is not wrong. So, but their activity is benefiting society. So should government pass on this benefit or not to them? So if government will provide free land now, government may provide, let us suppose, free land for school. Okay, or maybe some other tax concession, etc., which is then you might have idea. Usually land is given for very free or very low rate by most of the governments, state governments, and some taxes are also not imposed on school fee. So that is exempted in GST also, you must have idea. If government will provide free land maybe, so which curve will be affected? So supply increase, decrease, demand increase, decrease. Please give me answer. When free land will be given by government, so supply of school will be affected or demand? Supply increase or decrease, demand increase or decrease? Just give me answer. So all of you give correct answer till now. Now if free land is given, so obviously supply will increase. So I think most of you must have given correct answer. Supply will increase. Supply will increase means more schools will be established. Yes or no? And average fee will come down. So supply increase, all of you are correct here again. So it means that supply will increase, more schools will be established, and average fee will come down. So which is socially desirable, earlier or now? Earlier or now? So certainly now. So it means that if government will not intervene in infrastructure, if government will leave it to private sector, then it will remain deficient. And its user charges will be high, fee should be high. So which is better, government intervention or non-intervention? So obviously government intervention. Why? Because market fail here. So what? Okay. So what you should mention? So I think most of you must have understood here, because all of you have given correct answer. So in case of good things, what will happen? Supply will if government will not intervene, then school will not be OQ1, OQ only school. So less schools will be there. So there will be shortage, deficiency of infrastructure, and the charges for infrastructure will be high. So which is better, government intervention or without government intervention? So obviously government intervention. So here actually government should intervene. So got the point here? Remember one thing, for examination point of view, never make curve. Curve is not needed because I am just linking the theory with the practice here. So you need not require to make curves, because even for examiner it will be difficult to understand, because examiner may not have economics background, so may not understand curve. So remember one thing, you need not require to make curve. But I think now, since I think most of you have understood now, so you can put in words. Okay, in case of infrastructure externalities, in case of positive externalities, there will be shortage of infrastructure, and infrastructure will be available at higher price, higher user charges. Okay, so in infrastructure sector, market fail, because infrastructure sector externalities are the market fail, and that is the reason government intervention is needed. So this is justification of public private partnership. So I will repeat these points. I will means revisit these points when I will take a public private partnership. So I told you, okay, in most of the infrastructure like schools, hospitals, etc., roads, airports are established by private sector along with government, public private partnership. Reason is that market fail in that area. Government cannot leave it to private sector. Okay, and why in infrastructure market fail? There are two reasons are there. In all infrastructure, externalities are there. That is the reason they are beneficial. That is why. And second, most of the infrastructure sector are natural monopoly. Like natural monopoly, I told you highway example, airport in a city. There cannot be 10 airports in a city. Okay, so this is the reason in infrastructure sector government intervention is needed. But why, if government intervention is needed, why not government is developing infrastructure? The reason is that huge funds are needed. Government don't have so much funds. So that is why government actually attract private sector's investment, because investment could be made by private sector, and government remain partners so that market distortion may be created. So this is important. All of these points are important for public private partnerships. So I will discuss in detail there why there is a need for public private partnership, why government is not leaving this to private sector completely. So got the point here? So this is the meaning of externalities. And you have to write only in words. In case of bad things, there will be overproduction. In case of good things, there will be underproduction. Simple thing. Infrastructure will remain deficient. This is the only you should remember. Got the point here? But my objective is to make you understand what are failures of market, how market actually fail. So I have gone in some technicalities, how exactly market fail. But you have to put in words only. Okay, now I'll come back to this. So resource allocation by market mechanisms. So I told you failures. 4 points I have dictated here. So fourth point, first of all, I told you that in certain cases market fail, like wherever national monopoly is there, because there is no competition, and without competition market cannot work. If people don't have proper information about the products, again consumers could be cheated. That is technically called information asymmetry. Other is externalities, which I give you example. So in these cases market completely fail. So government intervention is needed. Third point I told you, market actually work only under competitive condition, and if government will not intervene, there can never be competition. So government actually, even if markets are efficient, so still government has to create enabling conditions for market. Otherwise market cannot work on their own. So here I want to show why government intervention is needed. Second point I told you कि macroeconomic problems cannot be resolved. Like I gave you example कि long-term growth, environmental conservation, price stability. I gave you already practical example of in agriculture sector कि how actually this MSP resolve this problem of fluctuation or wave problem could be resolved by government intervention through MSP. So these are all limitations of market, and this social justice cannot be ensured. Why? Because market can provide supply according to demand those people who have money. It does not see what is need, it see who is creating demand. So that is why poor people, inequality, poverty may further increase. So these are limitations of market. Okay, and advantages are that the most important thing is that for enhancing well-being, resource allocation should be optimal. This is the core concern. This is very important, and system has to be efficient. So these are the two very important things which are needed for enhancing well-being. These are the advantages, but these are disadvantages. Got the point? So advantage, disadvantages. One more thing, in capitalist economy, markets work. So these are advantages and disadvantages of capitalist economy also. Why I have discussed this in so much detail? Because I have discussed this in detail because there could be a question. What kind of question could be asked? Question could be on capitalist economy. Capitalist economy versus socialist economy. For example, so these are pros and cons of capitalist economy. Okay, and opposite will be for socialist economy. So these are advantages of socialist economy and these are disadvantages. As I told you already, one question was asked in mains कि, do you suggest adoption of capitalist system in India? Because capitalist system has guided the world economy to unprecedented prosperity. So do you suggest adoption of capitalist system? So what should be your answer? So answer should be clear cut. No. Why no? Because of disadvantages. So I told you that you can put in that question all these disadvantages in this capitalist system. And I give you two reasons. I have already discussed that question. In that question, why we should not adopt capitalist system, there one reason is that lot of limitations of market mechanism are there. These things like social justice, etc. And in developing countries, like the areas where market fail, they are quite like poverty is usually more, inequalities are more, unemployment is more. Okay, these things are much more. So that is why in developing countries it is not desirable. One thing. Second thing, one more thing, all of these points, one more reason which we can give. That reason is that, do you remember? I told you earlier, one reason is the limitations of market, these 4 points you can mention. Other reason is that, we need not require to adopt capitalist system because we can achieve these advantages even in a mixed economy. So these advantages of capitalist system or market economy can be achieved within a mixed economic system. As I told you already, we are growing at very fast pace. Why we are growing at fast pace? By adopting policies which are similar to capitalist economy. We have enabled markets to operate. Got the point? But markets fail in selected areas only. So government should intervene more in that area. So I have already told you regarding this. So two reasons I repeat once more on what basis you should say we should not adopt capitalist system in India. One point is that all of these limitations, 4 points you can mention. And second point is that there is no need to adopt capitalist system for these advantages because we can achieve these advantages within a mixed economic system. Example is that we are achieving these advantages. And I think you can recollect, I told you I give you means analysis of Indian economy like in pre-reform era, government regulation. So efficiency, productivity was very low. Without productivity, efficiency, we cannot achieve social objectives. So that was the worst policy. Then in 90s, after reforms in first phase, I told you in pre-reform from 1991 to 2004, government liberalized economy. So efficiency growth increased, but inequalities started increasing at very fast pace. Poverty reduced at very slow pace. So social objectives were compromised. There was pure jobless growth. I have already given you data. Then government realized that market cannot ensure social justice. These are the limitations. Then government started focusing more on social sector, like Manrega started, National Food Security Act passed, and government started focusing on more and more on social sector, expenditure on education, health increase. So after that, I told you government further liberalized also. And government intervention increased in selected areas where market failed. So which policy is best? I told you that policy is best. That is why even after change of government, policy has not by and large changed. Because the previous government, Congress government and this government, both are promoting LPG policy and both are focusing more on rural social sector. Got the point? Because without any doubt, the outcomes are available. So this is the best outcome. More liberalization because there is no substitute for market. It should be very clear. Government cannot ensure these objectives. Government intervention can never achieve these objectives, efficiency, etc. And it is also true that market can never achieve these social justice automatically. It may happen, but in very long term, when trickle down will happen, just like what happened in developed countries. So if we rely completely on market, just like the developed countries or capitalist countries were there, then process of development will become very unjust, like it was there in America and Europe. So as I told you already. So this question may be asked. Other question is asked means need for government intervention. Why government intervention is needed? So can we say government intervention is indispensable in an economy, even in capitalist economy? So I have already discussed, so obviously answer is yes. Why? Because of these limitations. And even markets are good, still government has to create enabling condition. Okay. Apart from that, government is reducing intervention, and liberalization means government is reducing intervention. It benefited us. So this question may be asked: do you think now government intervention should be eliminated, or and this government intervention is done through planning? So this question may be asked: do you think economic planning is still relevant in the context of reforms? So the next question may be asked: relevance of planning, relevance of economic planning in the context of economic reforms. In the context of economic reforms. So do you think planning is relevant? So answer should be yes. Why? Because only these limitations. If the question may be in this way, because reforms have means reduce government intervention. So shall we eliminate? Shall we eliminate economic planning? So answer is no. And rather now planning has become more challenging. Earlier it was much easier for government to regulate production. Government may not give license. But now liberal policy is that government has to achieve social objectives. Government has to give incentives to private sector so that private sector shall help in achieving objectives. So rather planning has become more challenging now, because earlier it was much easier. There were physical controls were there. Government could have restrained production of this thing. But now government is not restraining. Government has to create disincentive for that, like higher taxes, and want to encourage something, then subsidies, etc. So now we have fiscal incentives. Earlier there was physical controls. Fiscal means taxes and government expenditure. Fiscal means budgetary policy. So relevance of planning. Do you think planning is still relevant in the context of reform? So answer is certainly yes, and will always remain. Rather it has become more challenging. So this kind of questions may be asked on this topic. That is why I have discussed in detail. Like one question was already asked on this capitalist system, and shall we adopt this system in India? Okay, now I'll briefly show you this, just give you a brief idea about the in economic survey of this year. There is actually the theme of this year's economic survey was on markets, on invisible hand. So some summary of that, some points from chapter 1 and 3, I will show you. I have shared the matter with you. Okay, so I'll just give you a brief idea through this PPT. Okay, this on karna hai. So Akash Singh, you have asked how equilibrium market is achieved by market mechanism. So what is your question? Equilibrium market? So your question is not very clear. Equilibrium market is achieved by market mechanism. Okay, I'll explain the basics. Okay, so market, this is demand, this is supply. This is equilibrium when demand is equal to supply. And market mechanism means it is an automatic process which determines equilibrium. The process which establishes this point, which decide P and Q, that is market mechanism. And this situation is market equilibrium. So Akash, actually your language is not very clear. How equilibrium market is achieved by market mechanism. Not equilibrium, how it is achieved. Because if price will be low, then automatically price will increase. This is how equilibrium achieved by market mechanism. I have told you already, if price is low, then shortage, then buyers will be willing to pay more price, consumers will be willing to pay more price. Okay, so this is from economic survey. 1920 means it was published in 2020. Okay, and now economic survey is published in on last day of January, because on 31st January, now this month economic survey will be presented, and from on 1st February there is budget is presented. So economic survey is presented before, 1 day before budget. Okay, and this year's economic survey will be of which year? It will be 2020-21. Okay, now it is 2021 January, so it will be 2021. And till now the current economic survey is this, which was presented on January 20, and it is for 1920. Achha, why it is 1920? Because in economic survey, there is information about the last year and some previous years also. It gives data, okay, what happened, what was the trend of economy in the 2000, in the previous financial year. Now, the chapter 1 actually is wealth creation. So wealth creation means increasing production. Production means wealth creation means, in simple words here. Invisible hand supported by the hand of trust. So focus actually of this chapter is that invisible hand is very important, because markets can ensure efficiency, can help in achieving social objectives. The focus of this chapter is on this. And the theme of this economic survey was on markets. Government should intervene more or less if we have to provide invisible hand functioning. Invisible hand means market mechanism, I have told you already. So it means that government should intervene less and supported by hands of trust. Hand of trust means there should not be anti-competitive practice. There should be actually fair competition. Only then invisible hand should be supported by the hand of trust means competitive conditions, less kind of corruption, and like there should not be any anti-competitive practice should not be there, in simple word. Only then market will work, and that can enhance actually wealth generation and enhance welfare. This is the theme. So for more than this, one diagram is missing here, that will be there in your notes. So they have mentioned, India was actually a dominant economy in the world for 3/4 of the known world history. So India has been a major actually economy in the world. For more than 3/4 known economic history, India has been the dominant economic power globally. So they have quoted one study of medicine. So this they have shown that India right now we are accounting for about 8% of world GDP. But if you see before arrival of British, Indian economy was was contributing to about 25% of the world GDP before British. Although after British, situation worsened in India, and then our share reduced to quite low, means almost about 2-3% in the world, and after reforms it has increased to about 8%. Okay, so and before that means in medieval times, ancient times, India was accounting for 20 to 30% of world GDP. So India has been a major global economy in the world. They have mentioned this. So diagram you can see that they have shown share of India in the world economy over time. Clear? Now the question is that why India became by chance? No, they have mentioned no. India became world's largest economy, one major economy of the world, because this market mechanism is new or to India or not. So it should be clear. They said that economic reforms we adopted in 91. Now we are focusing on more on invisible hand. So they have mentioned that it is not new for India. In only after independence, actually independence from 1947 till 91, we government intervention is more in India, and that hurt economy. Means our economy was adversely affected by that. And before independence, India, and from ancient medieval times till independence, India was an open economy. Means invisible hand was functioning, and that was the main reason why we became developed. Now just read out few things. Wealth creation and economic development in several advanced countries has been guided by Adam Smith's philosophy of invisible hand. As we discussed in the capitalist economies, capitalist economy mean based on invisible hand, they have developed. India has embraced the market model that represented our traditional legacy. They have used the word traditional legacy, means it is not that we adopted reforms now. India was always an open economy. Got the point? In ancient times, medieval times, because trading was much, policy was more liberal. So that is why due to invisible hand in India, India was a major dominant economy in the world. Despite such a rich tradition of embracing wealth creation, India deviated from this model for several decades, from 47 till 90, I told you. It means that for only these about 40 years, 45 years, we actually were not a market-oriented economy. Because after reforms and even before independence, we were an open economy, and we provided larger role to invisible hand. That is why we were a dominant economy in the world. So as I told you, the theme is that invisible hand is very useful. Markets are best. They want to focus on this. Markets are very important. They have given data. However, India returned back to its roots post-liberalization, because we were open economy, LPG was there earlier also, so we run back to our roots, means our roots are open economy. Okay, somewhat close to capitalist economy, but not exactly capitalist economy. India's GDP, you can see after economic reforms of 91, earlier growth was, GDP actually was growing at slow pace, and after this accelerated pace. You can see the pace of GDP growth accelerated. Similarly, per capita income, so GNI per capita, after reforms after 90s, growth accelerated, somewhat accelerated 90s, especially after 2000. So after reforms, you can see growth of GDP accelerated. Even I gave you data earlier also. Now another thing is that wealth creation, benefits everybody. So wealth created by an entrepreneur correlates strongly with benefits that accrue to several other stakeholders, including employees, suppliers, government, etc. So they have shown increase in wealth and employment of salaries. They have taken in log, but concept is that wealth creation and employment salaries. So when wealth creation will increase, means growth will increase, so then salary will also increase. Okay, so wealth creation, when production will increase, everybody will benefit. Like workers will benefit, suppliers will benefit, government will benefit. How? Because people will pay more taxes, so everybody benefit. So it means that government should focus on enhancing growth rate of economy. So when growth will be there, then everybody will benefit. The invisible hand of markets. A key contributor to ancient India's prosperity was internal and external trade, because we were open economy in ancient times, even in medieval times. A stakeholders model exists in India, as is discernible in Arthashastra, which entrepreneurs, workers, and consumers share prosperity. So actually, they have given, this illustration from some literary works. So Arthashastra of Kautilya. But remember one thing: Arthashastra was not on economics. It should be clear. Arthashastra was on polity. But in actually polity also, economic things are there. What should be the policy of king? So focus was on polity. It was, Arthashastra was not on economics, it should be clear. But polity also is linked with economy. What kind of policy government is implementing? So in Arthashastra, Kautilya suggested that there should be liberal policy, and India policy was liberal. Okay, the evidence since 1991 shows that embracing the invisible hand of markets, increasing economic openness has a huge impact on enhancing wealth. Means after reform, the benefits we have discussed. The sectors that were liberalized grew significantly faster than those that remain closed. So they have given one more thing, is sector-wise analysis also. Like those sectors which were open for private sector, so they grew at much faster pace. And those sectors which were remained under government, they remain weak. So this is not surprising, as the market economy is based on the principle that optimal allocation of resources occurs when citizens are able to exercise free choice of products or services they want. Now you can see credit in banking sector expanded at much higher rate after sector was open for competition through licenses granted for private banks. I will discuss RBI granted license to few new private banks, foreign banks in 94. So you can see 94. Before this, credit bank loans were increasing this pace. Then bank credit increases at very fast pace. Okay, so after banking sector was open to private sector and foreign banks, then growth of credit increased much. So they have given lot of other illustrations. So you can see growth in passenger traffic across open sector, that is road, means which is open for private sector, and closed sector, railway. So you can see growth in railway is shown by this blue, and growth in this roadway traffic is this, because it is open for private sector. So it means that whichever sector is open for private sector grew at much faster pace. Now they have given some suggestions, instruments for wealth creation. What are the instruments, what we should do? So fair competition should be there, that is very important. Second is, because market will work only under free competition. Other is equal opportunity for new entrants in entrepreneurship, because opportunities should be there for new entrepreneurs, because if there will be competition will be restricted, then entry of new firms will become difficult, because more and more firm will enter, then it will increase competition. because new companies, they bring new ideas, and this lead to creative destruction, which I told you, investment. So government should promote investment, entry of new firms, new ideas, creative destruction. So that is important for development. Other is pro business policies. So pro business means simply economy that enables fair competition for every economic participant. There should be free competition, healthy competition. That is pro business policy. And they have used the word pro business, and opposite of this is pro crony. Pro crony means case situation in which government favors few big corporates. So crony is not good for society, because then those big corporates, they actually exploit people. So they said that pro business policy should be there rather than pro crony policies. Otherwise, undermining markets. So they have mentioned that when government intervention hurts more than it helps. So I told you markets fail, and when markets fail, the government should intervene. Yes or no? So certainly government intervention is must, but sometimes government intervention may aggravate the problem, may worsen the problem. So they have mentioned that government should not intervene much in the economy, because sometimes government intervention may be counterproductive. Like some examples I will show you. They have mentioned. Other is trade for job creation. So they have said that trade is very important. Government should promote import exports, and it will create jobs. Okay, especially of labor intensive things in which we have some comparative advantage. Other is ease of doing business should be improved, so that investment should increase, more investment, more firms, more production, more employment. Other is banking sector is very important. I told you that capital is formation, bank play an important role. Capital is mobilized for investment. And they have mentioned that in the last 50 years, the top 5 economies have always been ably supported by their banks. So in whichever country which grew at very fast pace, that was based on the strong banks. In India, banks are relatively not very strong. In top 100 banks, we have only one bank. So top 100, we have only one bank, that is SBI, even after merger. So, but although in top 100, China is having 18 banks. So we have only one bank. So banks are important, especially big banks. And apart from that, privatization. So PSE means public sector enterprises, means government companies. After privatization, to show the significant efficiency gain. So they have mentioned that privatization is important, because PSUs which were privatized perform better than the which were not privatized. Okay, this is actually the some points from the economic survey volume 1. So it shows that markets are better. Okay, just advantages I've told you already. So try to correlate the whatever we have discussed in class, understand this and try to correlate with the points. They have also given reasons why it is better, and some data ke how economy perform better after LPG policy. Now this is from volume 1, chapter 4. In chapter 4, they have mentioned undermining markets. The name of the chapter is undermining markets, when government intervention hurts more than it helps. So they have mentioned sometime government intervention is needed, but sometime government intervention may be more than needed, and it may create more distortions. So they have mentioned benefits of economic freedom. So you can see in this diagram first per capita income and index of economic freedom. There will be more economic freedom, means less government intervention, more liberal policy, so higher per capita income. And they have mentioned that economic freedom is correlated with a lot of variables, like for development of actually R&D, for actually for other things also. Like you can see here, the indices of economic freedom positively correlate with per capita GDP, registration of new business, because if more freedom, more business will be registered, ease of doing business indicators, number of patents applied in a country, etc. So it means that economic freedom, liberal policy is very important. So again, same theme here also, liberalization is much more important. Then impact of anachronistic government intervention. Like if government intervention may be excessive, it may create problem. So they have mentioned government intervention may create demand and supply may be affected, and it may create some problem. Okay, so it is same thing which I have told you. So for example, I give you example from here. When the price is too high, there is an excess amount of product for sale compared to what people want. Like when there is, this should be price. So what they mean, when the price is too high, if the price will be too high means, you can see here, let's suppose this price may be P2. What will happen then? Supply will be more, demand will be less. So they have mentioned there is an excess amount of product for sale compared to what people want. So excess amount of sale I have told you already. and when price is low, there will be shortage. Okay. Acha, in both the cases, there will be loss or not. If price may be P1, so production actual will be this much. So production will reduce, wastage of resources will be there or not. And here also people will buy this, so firm will not produce this. Production will reduce in both cases. And the net loss of welfare is technically called dead weight loss. So they have used a word that it leads to dead weight loss. Okay, so the wasted chance to create both producer and consumer welfare from such sales lead to dead weight loss, income that is lost forever. So it means that if government will intervene, may fix a low price or may lead to higher price. So then what will happen? It will lead to welfare loss of either consumers or producers. So it's actually, I have already discussed. Just go through this thing and try to correlate what we have discussed. So government intervention in grain market. So in agriculture sector, I will discuss in much detail, but in simple words, I'll give you a brief idea. In case of grain market, the price of wheat and rice, MSP of wheat and rice has been increased by government too much. So what will happen? If MSP of wheat and rice will be much more, so farmers will grow more wheat and rice, obviously. And when they will grow more, and MSP is the price at which government has to buy unlimited quantity. Government cannot say no. So ultimately what is happening? High MSP of wheat and rice. So farmers are growing much more wheat and rice. And when they are growing much more wheat and rice, so what was happening? Government has to buy all, and FCI is storing huge quantity beyond the capacity to store. It is leading to wastage also, financial burden on government. Other problem, if farmers will grow more wheat and rice, so production of other crops will reduce. So it will affect diversity in agriculture sector. So these are the problems. So you can go through briefly this thing. So I just show you with the help of diagram only. And they have mentioned that government actually is buying too much wheat and rice. Why? So government single largest procurer of rice and wheat. So government is buying major part of wheat and rice. Government procures around 40 to 50% of the total market surplus of wheat and rice. So you can see this is wheat, this one dash dash, this one wheat, and this one rice. So almost 40 to 50% government is buying. So whatever wheat and rice is produced, almost half is bought by government. So government is intervening too much here. One thing. In Punjab and Haryana, this share of purchase by government reaches 80 to 90%. So of the marketable surplus, 80 to 90% is bought by government. Hardly 10-20% sold to private sector. Government is buying. So government is intervening too much, they have mentioned. And another is that increasing MSP leading to higher procurement. This higher MSP and more procurement of, this is for MSP and this is procurement of, one is wheat, other is rice. So more MSP, higher the MSP, higher the procurement. So because when MSP will be more production and more government has to purchase. And when government will purchase more, government has to store. So you can see the actual stock of rice is this much, wheat is this much. So how much stock we had? 74. How much required? About this much required. So whatever is the buffer stock norm, this line shows requirement and actual storage is almost double. And you can see from 2008 to 19, for in the last 10-11 years, on an average, this is needed and this is actual. So almost double is capped, whatever is needed. So this stocking is done by Food Corporation of India, FCI. So FCI is keeping much more stock. And because it is keeping much more, it will lead to wastage. So this is one distortion created by the government intervention by increasing MSP of wheat and rice much. So increasing efficiency of stock. So more the stock, more inefficiency. Just you can go through this. It is almost based on this what we have discussed already. Distortions in grain market. They have mentioned that in grain market, you can see this share of cereals in consumption expenditure. Share in consumption is reducing. And you can see this one, this blue is share of cereals in consumption expenditure. Share of cereals in consumption expenditure, rural, urban actually they have shown. And you can see production is increasing. So consumption is declining. This thing, rural and urban consumption is declining and production is increasing. So this has created a disconnect between demand and supply, because demand is reducing in general of grains and production is increasing. And the result is that government is overstocking and leading to wastage. So this is how market is leading to this is leading to this problems. So they have mentioned the what are strength and weaknesses, process cons of market, which I have already dictated. Now conclusion, what they have mentioned. So they have mentioned now conclusion in this chapter. Competitive markets are effective in allocating resources in an economy. So yes, certainly they are better. While the idea of completely efficient market is rare, the cost of government intervention may outweigh the benefits when market failures are severe. So government ideally this completely efficient market is rare. The cost of government intervention may outweigh the benefits when market failures are not severe. So they mean to say if market failure is not very severe, then government should not intervene, because the government will intervene, the cost will be much more. It may create more distortion rather. But I don't agree with this view. In general, government intervention is useful and must be there. In some cases there are issues, but they have focused on only those cases. So in general, the impression from this chapter seems to be that government should not intervene at all. So I don't think it is desirable. So they have slightly overstretched those things where government intervention is creating some distortions. There are some distortions, they have just overstretched those things. Focus on these areas only, because the focus is to that markets are best, invisible end is best. Now they have mentioned this point, they have clarified this thing in the last. Now the conclusion is that the chapter does not argue that there should be no government intervention, but eliminating instances of needless government intervention will enable competitive markets and thereby spur investment and economic growth. Okay, so they have now clarified here. The chapter does not argue that there should be no government intervention, but eliminating instances of needless government intervention should be eliminated. Okay, this is conclusion. Cobweb phenomena in pulses, I told you already, production of pulses, this is based on actual data. So you can see the cobweb theory is the idea that price fluctuations can lead to fluctuations in supply, which cause a cycle of rising and falling prices and production both. Okay, so which I have told you already. Here when price of this is, you can see wholesale prices in rupees, and this is area in million, how much is area covered. So higher the prices, this is T time and this is T minus 1, last year's price, production of this year. Okay, so price last year when low, production was more, so low, and when price high, production more. So there is a price production depends on the price of last year. Okay, last year price T minus 1 and production this year are highly correlated, which I have told you already. Okay, so I have I give you some data of GDP in terms of market exchange rate. So our GDP, we are 6th largest economy, and 2.6 trillion dollar is our GDP. Last year we were 5th largest economy and our GDP was 2.9 trillion. We slipped actually from 5th to 6th. But before that, in 2018 we were the 7th largest. In 2019 we take over 2 countries, France, UK, we take over. But this year in 2020 UK has again taken over India, because GDP of UK, India and France is very close. Okay, so you should have broad idea. I have already discussed PPP, this market exchange rate, and then PPP. In PPP we are 3rd largest. In PPP you can see our GDP is 8.7 now. Last year it was 9.6. Why it has reduced? There is negative growth in India, just like in a lot of countries. So because of that our GDP has somewhat decreased. So this is 19, this is 20. Last year it was slightly more, now it is somewhat less. So GDP, just I have already discussed this. Okay, so this is just for reference. Just try to learn class notes and then try to compare, correlate with this. If you have any doubt, you may ask in the next lecture. Okay, so next lecture we will, this is all in this module. In next lecture we will discuss national income, GDP, GNP, national income. Okay, so we will continue in next lecture.